favorite
Good.
app?
So.
Do you like to go into?
Okay, so it is recording, and just so you can see up in the upper left, you'll see it's recording, and that lets you know anytime you're in a meeting, if it's being recorded, unless the person is just recording their screen, you'll see that it is recording. And you guys don't need to record on your end because it'll go up to YouTube, and today's class, depending on how long it is, will probably be around 3 or 4 gigabytes, which is quite a bit of information. So. And we have 40 people, actually really 39, because I have my iPad as a second one. I use that to monitor what I see so that I can see what you guys are seeing on the screen. So again, we'll go through a short keynote highlighting some apps, and then I'm going to get interactive with the apps. And then we'll take a break. We'll do some more. I have some home automation ones I want to show off and things like that. But be thinking about any apps that you're interested in. And you can go into, you can go to the chat window, the pop-out chat window, and you can post what it is and put it in there and just put the name of the app in there and what it does, and we'll maybe pull from some of those. The other one, we like to be interactive with this. So if you click your Participants tab, so on a Mac, I'm going to tell you how to do it on a Mac and how to do it on iOS. The Participants tab is at the bottom on the Mac. You pop it, it pops out a window. And then at the bottom of that window, except those of you that are co-hosts, you'll have a raise hand button. And that puts it up, and it puts it up in the queue so we can see who has their hand up. And you co-hosts, if you can alert me to that. You co-hosts, you guys just, since you don't have a raise hand button, feel free to just speak up and go in. And on managing that, I asked the co-hosts, what'll happen is the raise hand button comes up, and then they can unmute their mic or you can unmute their mic. And when they're done, here's the process to make it easy. When the raise hand button is there, they're at the top of the queue. So you don't hit the raise hand button until you've muted their mic again, because then it stays up at the top. And once you hit the raise hand button, they go back down onto the list. Okay? So any questions? Oh, I'm sorry, the participant button on the Mac is on the bottom. If you're on an iOS device, you tap the screen, and on the, there's a participants button, and that pop out's participants. But actually on an iOS device, you tap the screen and there's 3 little dots that say more. And when you tap that, there's a thing that says raise hand. And then, we'll unmute your mic for you, or you can, if you've muted your mic, we can't unmute it. So you have to unmute the mic yourself. So any questions on how that protocol works? Okay. So, and we've already got a couple questions in the queue for that. What we'll do is probably we'll look at those during the break, and then we'll go to those in the second half of the presentation. So again, this is very interactive. Don't hesitate to ask questions as you go along. And thank goodness it's being recorded, because I always go too fast. So, all right. Let me get the keynote going here. And I should point out to those people that arrived late, I did put a link in the chat window that's for a program called Etrecheck, ETRECHECK.com. You can run it on your computer. It kind of gives you a little bit of a, it gives you a little bit of an overview. I'm actually getting ready to, within the next month, I'm going to, for all my clients, you'll be able to sign up for a program that monitors your computer, and it's a minimal fee for that, and I'll be emailing it out. And then what'll happen is you can actually monitor your computer, and it'll tell me like if your backup has failed and things like that, and then we can work on things remotely to get things fixed. So that'll be coming, it's called Watchman, and it'll be coming out, I'll be announcing that probably the first part of July. So. All right, let me get to my keynote here. I need to share my screen. All right, as I said, we're going to be doing app roulette. Let me take this, hang on, let me get this out of the way. got two monitors here I got to deal with. Okay, so app roulette. It's just kind of an idea going around in the circle and just seeing what apps are out there. And there's a ton of different ones. You know, there's the roulette wheel. This is a little keynote trick I did. And it gets a little bit there. So by the way, coming up, the iPhone went on sale June 29th of 2007. So later this month, it'll be 13 years of the iPhone. And I was waiting in line at the AT&T store to get my little 8 gigabyte iPhone. And the original iPhone came installed with 16 apps. And if we look at the iPhone, the original iPhone in the upper right corner, the SMS was a very rudimentary text application. You couldn't do photos, you couldn't do videos or anything like that. It was just early text messaging. And the calendar app, and then coming across was Photos, and the original Photos app was very limited on what it could do. Then, of course, the camera app. Then dropping down to the second row, the YouTube. There was an actual separate YouTube app, and that was the only way to really play videos on it. And, you know, it looks like an old TV. Of course, the Stocks app, which has been there for quite a while, and the original Apple Maps. And they were not so good in the beginning, but they were pretty good for their first attempt. The weather app, which has stayed very much like it is. The clock, which of course the clock is a timer, a stopwatch. It's many different things. It's a world clock. And then the calculator. And the interesting thing with the calculator is it's always supported it when you have the phone in the portrait or upright position as a regular calculator. And if you tilt your phone sideways, it becomes a scientific calculator. The Notes app, you notice how the Notes app looks like a yellow tablet and stuff. This was called skeuomorphic design, and the Apple went away from that to a little more flat design. Of course, the settings still is a gray gear. Then along the bottom, and there was no way to replace, I don't think initially we could change what was on the bottom, but there was the phone app, which we still have, and in fact, the first phones were only on pretty limited. The mail application, and then Safari. And the cellular data on phones was pretty bad before that, and it really brought it into it. And then, of course, it was the iPod app was what we call iTunes now, or music app now. And it was just another, it made the phone the best iPod ever was. So again, it came installed with 16 apps. And then actually in a year and a few days later, iOS 2 came out. Can you mute that person's mic? Somebody may have two devices in their house. iOS 2 was introduced, and then it came with the App Store. And when that was introduced, and that was an update. In fact, at the time, you had to use your computer to update your phone. Up until iOS 5, I believe, you had to use your computer to update your phone. And it initially came out, and it had 500 apps. And it was incredible. And I remember Google Maps was there. In fact, there's a story about how Steve Jobs, there was Google Maps. Google was presenting their app, and they're going over it. And at midnight on a Sunday night, Steve Jobs calls the Google app developer and say, "Oh, this color's a little off. You need to fix it." And, you know, his attention to detail was very, very amazing. And I remember for almost the first year, I knew every app that came out, but there got to be too many, and it's fruitless. And today we have just almost 2 million apps for iOS. And of course, that's changed a bit too, because iOS, believe it or not, it wasn't always called iOS. It was called iPhone OS, or the iPhone operating system. We had the Mac OS operating system. Then we had the Apple TV, so we had the Apple TV operating system. Then we got the Watch operating system. Then iOS was encompassing both the iPod Touch, the iPhone, and the iPad, so that became iOS. And now in iOS 13, it's further split because the iOS 13 for the iPad is called iPad OS, because the iPad is becoming very, very strong in its own right. And there's features on it that they wanted to implement that are different from the phone. For the most part, it's still the same as the phone, but it's really unique, some of the things that are branching off on the iPad, as you can see with the new iPad keyboard, etc. So there's been over 35 billion downloads of iOS apps. So those nearly 2 million apps, there's 35 billion downloads. And that's pretty substantial, and it's actually a pretty sizable entry item on Apple's bottom line. The way it works is when you pay for an app in the App Store, Apple does all the billing, takes care of the credit card and everything else, and the Apple keeps 30%. The app developer gets 70% of what it is. And when you think about the logistics of it, because the one good thing about the Apple App Store versus the Google App Store or the Google Play Store is Apple curates and checks all of these apps. That's why you're never going to get apps that create problems on your phone. Now, that makes the price of entry or the wall of entry a little bit harder. They call it a walled garden and a curated setup. But to be honest, for us, I think that's the best, because there's some rogue apps out there in the Google Play Store that can do some really mischievous things. And Apple's concentration on your security and your privacy is foremost. So, and the apps, realistically, apps are not that expensive. It's amazing. So just a few to go through. We're not going to go in depth of any of these, but I'm just going to kind of give you an overview. Duolingo, since we all have a little bit of time on our hands right now, Duolingo, they have a free version, and then they have a paid for version. It is a way to learn a foreign language, and it's amazing how quickly you can learn it with using Duolingo. It's an interactive feedback, and I think there's like 65 languages, if I'm not mistaken. The next one is the Tips app. Now, this showed up a few OSs ago, and the Tips apps are actually from Apple. And there's a lot of different categories you can go to in the Tips apps. It's on the iPad, it's on the iPhone, and it actually knows what operating system you're on, and it knows what device you're on. So it will use that to determine what you should be looking at. And you go through and you can drill down, and I find some things in there, some ones that are fantastic. Calm is a very nice app. It leads you down into some meditation. There's a free portion to it. There's also, so when you're in the App Store, you'll see many times there's apps that are free, or there's a price listed. When there's a normal price listed, that's for the app, and that's for as long as you have that app, it's that price. Many times you'll see an app being free, and then it will say with in-app purchases. And in-app purchases work two different ways. An in-app purchase can be a one-time fee that gives you a next higher level or removes the ads or things like that. Or an in-app purchase can be a monthly or yearly subscription. And it delineates it very fairly, and it shows you what it is when it happens. And in fact, if you ever want to end a subscription, there's an easy way in your App Store to go back in, and you can see what your subscriptions are and get out of it. It's not difficult at all. Apple makes sure that it's easy that way. But the trend has been more for the apps to go more on a subscription basis. Personally, I don't like a subscription basis. I'd rather pay more and pay a one-time fee and have it there. But, these app developers need to make their money somehow. Though any of you that are bicycle riders or hikers that use Strava just changed their business model, and it's become subscription only. And it was a great app, and I'd used it a few times and stuff, but I won't go to subscription. Unless it's something I use a lot, I try to find alternatives that might be a minimal one-time fee. And again, there are, with nearly 2 million apps out there, there's easy alternatives. Down here, Dark Sky is the go-to weather app to have. And you can actually set up your, and I think it's $1.99 or $2.99. You can set up notifications, whereas if a thunderstorm is coming your way, it'll say, oh, expect a thunderstorm in about 10 minutes. And my gosh, it's so perfect. It leverages the local radar stations, it leverages the local weather stations, and puts that all together. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful app. California online driver's test. I have a person up here that turned me on to this. It's great. You can do it's the practice test for the DMV. My Fitness Pal is probably one of the best fitness apps out there. I personally like the built-in fitness app from Apple. So getting into photography, and I'll be doing a photography class, an iPhone photography class coming up later in the summer. But the built-in camera app, we're going to go through some of the features of that. If you're a DSLR or really use your camera a lot and you're not afraid of tweaking your settings, a wonderful app called ProCam 7 lets you set the ISO, the f-stop, the shutter speed, the white balance, and it shoots in RAW. It's fantastic. Touch retouch is one of those things that allows you to, let's say you have a picture and there's somebody in the picture on the side that just distracts from the picture. You can go in and wipe out that person. It works quite well. Touch retouch. I use Camera Plus 2 quite a bit. There was the original Camera Plus, and here's what they did. The original Camera Plus was the premier iPhone camera app when it came out. It shoots RAW. It does a tremendous amount of things. But what they did is they said, you know, we've let you get by for $3.99 for 5 years. We're upgrading the app, and they brought out another version of it at a reasonable price, and it's paid for. The next one, the Photographer's Ephemeris, and the suite of programs it has. Al Trivet turned me onto this years ago, and in fact, when I was hunting for my house, I used it because what it does is, the main part of it is, it'll show you where sunrise and sunset is, because any photographer knows the golden hour, the hour before sunset. I'm sorry, the hour after sunset. No, the hour before sunset and the hour after sunrise is called the golden hour. But then when I'm traveling, like for instance, when I did a photo journey to the eclipse up in eastern Idaho, I was there 5 days ahead of time to spot where I was going to do it. It showed me where the sun was going to rise and the sun was going to set. And then, of course, for the eclipse, it showed me where the sun was going to be at a certain time. Well, when I was hunting for my house, I always had a thing where I wanted to see the sun set not on someone else's roof. So I was able to align where my house is and see where the sun throughout the year is in different spots. Pro HDRX. This is a great program that automatically enhances your photos. If you really want a super fine-grained photo, don't use this, but it really does give some wonderful, wonderful highlights. Pro HDRX. I still miss the original version, don't you, Al?
Yeah.
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 The Health app. That's the built-in app from Apple. So I have a scale that gives you all your body vitals. It does the electronics through it. It reports to that. The heart monitor on the watch reports to this. You can have different things. Glucose monitors can report to the Health app. The Health app itself is just the indicator. It's the spot where all of your different devices can report to automatically if you have that set up, or even manually. You can chart your different things on there. And the wonderful thing is it's all in one spot, and you can really keep an eye on things that way. I don't do sleep tracking. I'm lucky. I sleep quite well. And my feeling is the more people worry about the sleep, the more problems they have with sleep. So I just sleep. But auto sleep is one, and it's great. And you tie it in with the Apple Watch, and it will tell you how much deep sleep you actually had, how much not so deep sleep. And for people that do have trouble with sleep, you can actually make notes on it and see beforehand, say, oh yeah, that's right, I had dessert late at night that day, and look at how it affected my sleep. So there are indications that the new Apple Watch, the Apple Watch coming out in fall, either through just software on the existing watch or a new watch, will do great sleep tracking. Heart Watch. Heart Watch is something that again ties in with the apps on the phone and the app on your watch, and it will give you, you can set a threshold. It will give you an alert if your pulse goes over a certain height and things like that. So it's a good way to monitor it. And it again doesn't do anything on its own. It's just pulling in that information from the heart monitor. Weather, that's the built-in weather app. And boy, I must really like dark sky because I put it in there twice. I'm sorry about that. The weather app, you can add multiple cities. I forget what the limit is on, I think it's 13 cities. I do that when I'm traveling. I'll put in every place I'm going along the way, and I can monitor that weather ahead of time. And then sometimes you just like to leave them up there and see what's going on. Bloom Sky is a unique app, and I'm going to show you how that works. So I'm going to write that on my notes to make sure when I do a live one, because it's very cool. And I'll show you how that works. So now kind of in the getting around point, and I do the travel presentation. I'll be doing that later in the summer here, and I have probably 30 different travel apps I use. But these are the big hitters. For navigation, the top row there is navigation. Waze by far is the best. When we do start traveling and the roads get a little bit busier, Waze is fantastic for showing you where there's potholes on the road, where there's red light cameras, where the police are pulled over, where there's traffic. It is very interactive. It's incredible. It was an Israeli company that was purchased by Google years ago, and it's fantastic. Apple Maps have gotten so much better than they used to be. And the nice thing is you can use Siri to interact with that. I have the Siri presentation I did that's been recorded, and you can go in and see that. But the nice thing is I like Apple Maps. If I'm in an area and I'm walking around, I remember when I was in Whistler a year and a half ago skiing, I needed to go to a ski shop to have my ski boot worked on. And so I just used the walking, I had the ski shop on the phone, and I used the walking app, and it showed me where I needed to go, and I could see where I made turns. In fact, I was in Austria last winter, and same thing. We were looking for a restaurant. We just punched it right in. And then if you have the Apple Watch, the nice thing is as you get to an intersection, the Apple Watch will vibrate, and it will vibrate a certain way to turn right and vibrate a certain way to turn left. I used that when I was in Thailand. I needed to go specifically to a restaurant, and there were all these different streets and weird names on streets and everything else. I use this, and it just vibrates when you go to the corner. Otherwise, it just shows it on the phone. So Apple Maps is great for that. And again, you can use Siri, and it interacts with your watch. Google Maps does also interact with your watch. And I always make sure I have Google Maps up there. I find that when you punch in like a business, it's usually is a little more updated on the times that business is open and things, a little bit more than Apple Maps, but Apple's doing a great job. For those of you that still need to put gas in your car, Gas Buddy is a good one, and Gas Buddy is crowdsourced, so it should be very accurate to the local gas stations on what the pricings are, and you can see it on a map, and it's really good. And then what happens if you see something that's not correct, you report that, and then that gets posted. So that works very, very well. This app called Around Me is really neat. It knows where you are, and it'll bring up and let you know what things, it'll do gas stations and stuff too, but it'll let you know what's around you. And in my travel presentation, there's a whole bunch more of those. And I have to say for national parks, and it does cover most of the national parks, if you're going to any national park, check Gypsy Guide and see if it's available. It is by far the best thing. I've been traveling to Yosemite since I was a young child. I'd go for a week every year, and I always go back to Yosemite. Well, I've used the Gypsy Guide last time I was in Yosemite, and I was even a Yosemite Junior Ranger, and it showed me things I didn't know. And it's fantastic. It uses your GPS location. It narrates. It'll do things like, oh, this little turnout right ahead. Pull over here because you'll get a great view of this. And it is amazing, and it always knows your location. And it is for most of the national parks. It's big in Hawaii. It's based out of Canada, but they have a lot of the Western United States. And if you're looking, you're making a long trip, like when I went and did 10 parks in Utah, you can bundle them together for a little better price. It's probably, the guide for Yosemite, I want to say, was $5.99 or something like that, $5.99. But my gosh, it is just awesome.
Oh, I just
Great.
to use earphones so you didn't have to listen to it.
Bob, mute your mic, please. Okay. All the PBS apps, so regular PBS. I think there's a Cap Radio app, and then this is just PBS videos. And I screwed up on this slide. I'm sorry. I still have the Google and other maps up there. I was doing this early this morning. Podcasts. I live on podcasts, and if you're not using podcasts, I recommend you do, because there is a podcast out there for everybody that has things. If whatever it is you're interested in, there's a podcast for it. Radio.com. You know, these days, most every radio station is streaming. There's iHeartRadio for the iHeartRadio stations. There's a couple of the others, but radio.com is an aggregator and has a whole bunch of different ones. Yelp, I'll tell you, I have found more good restaurants because of Yelp. And Yelp also goes out if you need your auto glass repaired, if you need things like that. Yelp does services and does quite a few things. And Pete has come and presented and does a very good presentation to us with Yelp. And I'll tell you, Yelp is very, very, very good. If you use the Apple Maps and you are looking for a restaurant, for instance, what it lists down below are the Yelp. It goes right to the Yelp referrals, where Google Maps uses its own Google reviews. I like Yelp better. All right, so we're going to do a live demonstration here, and I will pull my phone up. And 1 second. One second. 2 seconds. Okay, now I'm going to share my screen and my iPhone screen. All right. Please let me know, because I'll be moving around a bit. If I lose my iPhone screen, let me know. So just to go through some of these. Well, first I want to show you Bloom Sky. That was one of the ones on my list. So Bloom Sky is a time-lapse camera I have set in my backyard. But you guys can get into Bloom Sky and do this thing. So if I'm going to an area, Bloom Sky in the app, I'll hit Explore. And what I can do is, I'm zooming out, and I'm going to go up and let's go up towards Tahoe and find some Bloom Sky cameras up there. Here looks like one in Carnelian Bay. See where it says 49 degrees. So I'm going to tap that Carnelian Bay camera, and that's a current view of that person's time-lapse camera. And then you can go down, it says the weather information from that right there. And then it'll even go through and show you, like, here's yesterday's time-lapse video of it. It's and it shows you what the temperature was at those times. This time-lapse video is taken every 3 to 5 minutes, and it's wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to go now to my camera. I have one on my backyard. This is actually looking from my patio out, and it's actually kind of in the middle left there is Thunder Valley from my house. Let's go back and go to see when I had some clouds. Boy, there weren't many clouds lately. So let's do, this is yesterday's time lapse. My is looking west. And again, I have the camera so I can get there, but anybody can go into Bloom Sky and use the Explorer to do this. So you can see as the sun tracks across, and then these were clouds coming in last night and showing you the temperature at the same time. So that's Bloom Sky, one word. If you have a location that you like, that you want to put a camera up, the cameras are around $200, and they're solar powered, and all they do is tie into your Wi-Fi, and there's no monthly fee at all. So a friend of mine lives, a buddy of mine has this house right here, like the guy I ski with. So as a housewarming, I bought him one so I can tune in and see what it's like all the time. So, and then here's Yosemite. This is Ahwahnee Meadows right now. That's live. So anywhere you're traveling, you can go in and see what the weather is in these different places. And these are not weather cameras. These are people's own cameras. So it's pretty cool. That's Bloom Sky. Gonna go back through and look at what okay. Tips. I'm gonna show you the Tips app really quick. So here's the Tips app. Actually, I'm gonna show you how to search for that. But you can see here, there's all kinds of, oh, it's not refreshing on the screen for some reason. Hang on, let's see what's going on here. Let's put it back. There we go. It stopped. So if I want to search, because I have about 700 apps on my phone, so I can do a couple different ways to bring my apps up. If I have my phone up, and actually you can kind of see in my inset of mine, but I put my finger right near the center and swipe down, I get this search window. And in the search window, I can just type in Tips, and there it is. I tap on it. But the easiest way to do it is to activate Siri and say, launch Tips. Boom, right there. So you activate Siri, and then this is that Tips app, and it's really neat. Essentials, 9 tips. You can swipe through the different tips. And this really is very, very useful. And these are tips on iOS. And we're on iOS 13 now, as we go to iOS 14, that will change with what is going on. I'm going to show you the Dark Sky app. So when I go to Dark Sky, for instance, here's my location where I am right now. It shows a radar map at the top. It says current temperature, but if I scroll down here, actually usually it shows you the temperature. So here's the temperature pattern for today. I can scroll down, and here is for the rest of the week. Okay, for 7 days from now. And you can see the bands. All I have to do is tap one of these and expand it. So here's what it looks like for Sunday at my location. There's precipitation probability. There's wind speed. It was pretty windy yesterday. Wind gusts, humidity, dew point, UV index, cloud cover, barometric pressure. All of that's in there. And then you can even go to the map, and it will play. You'll notice in the lower right there by Fresno, there's some cloud covers. So let's see what happens. Oh, look at that towards wine country. There were some clouds. That was probably fog. But this is just
Which map is this?
Radar. And then this is the forecast. So again, this is Dark Sky. And I'll show you what the app looks like. It's the black one right there. I love Dark Sky, and you can definitely do some notifications on it. Let's go into the camera app. So in the camera app, let's see here. It's pausing again. Let me redo the mirror. Okay. That's Carol. Okay. So this is looking at my screen. This is looking outside. So with the camera app, one thing that's really important, and I'll be teaching this in the camera app, you'll notice that this the light's changing. So if I'm going to want to have the light be on this, I tap and hold right here. And now when I go outside, look how blown out it is. By tapping and holding, it fixes the focus and the exposure. So if I go here, there, that's better. I can tap and hold. And then when I go here, you see how dark it is. Okay, so that's the camera app. It's not everybody has portrait mode on there, so I won't go into that. The photo, let's see, camera. ProCam 7, hang on. ProCam. Whoever's got a microwave or something beeping, you need to mute your mic, please. ProCam 7, you can see you have all these different adjustments you can make. You know, that's amazing. Touch retouch, we won't really go through very much. I do want to show you the photographer's ephemeris. Launch TPE. So this you can see, so it's based at my location. And you can see the yellow down to the right is where sunrise is coming from. And the orange is where the sun will be setting. But if I want to change the date, oh, that's actually, I've got it set for December 21st. That's the vernal equinox or the winter solstice. So if I go to, let's say, July 21st, you can see how it's a much longer day. So the yellow starts on the right there, and then that's sunrise, sunsets on the left. And the blue signifies moonrise and moon sunset or moonset. So that's photographer's ephemeris, and it's fantastic. And you can do, it can do it live, so I can see where the sun is. There's the path of the sun. All right, skip Pro HDRX. The health app. So the health app is right there. And it just aggregates it. This is also where you do your medical ID. You want to have your medical ID in there. Just, it aggregates everything. The health app is wonderful. Get in and get using it. I'm just looking, I forgot so there are two, wow, I must have deleted that slide, unfortunately. So I have two personal finance apps that I think are fantastic. Credit Karma. So I just type in Karma. Credit Karma is fantastic. And you give it your information. If you have your credit frozen, you have to thaw it. If you don't have your credit frozen, you should. But what happens with Credit Karma is it's totally free, and it will give you your approximate credit score, and it will give you tips on what you can do to improve your credit score. But it also is a way to monitor your credit for free. It will tell you if somebody is if you or someone has tried to get credit in your name. So it's a very good credit monitoring, and it's totally free. The way they fund it is they'll send you an occasional email, or they have like cards here that are recommended for you, and they get a little kick on that. So so like for instance here, if I tap my TransUnion, it shows and it says, oh, okay, small dip. Like I always keep a 0 credit utilization, but I had some things on there, so I didn't pay it off before the bill generated, so I'm down 7 points because I'm using 3% of my credit right now, which is still good. You want to stay below 10% of your utilization. So then it shows there's the history. Uh-oh, bad trend line. I'm not too worried about it. At 820, anything above 760 is good. So I'm fine with that. I am pretty obsessive about it, but this is a great way to monitor. The other financial app that I use extensively and I think is fantastic, it's called Mint. Now you set up mint.com, it's by Intuit. you set it up on your computer and establish your account. But what happens here is this charts all my transactions. So when it comes tax time, I'm able to go through.
3 million.
Hello? What?
I don't think that was ours.
Whoever's speaking, please mute your microphone. So you go through here. Now, when I do my taxes, all my transactions are here. So I can go through all my transactions, and these go back till 2011, I believe, is when I started with Mint. So they're stored there forever. It's very safe. You give them access to your investment accounts, your credit card accounts, and your bank accounts, but all it's doing is reading those. It can't do any transactions, so it's very safe. And this is just like when QuickBooks or Quicken downloads your information for you. It does what's called a screen scrape. So it doesn't do transactions, so it can't come back and haunt you. And you can always monitor stuff however you want. And then you can go in and, like, let's say here was let's see here, trying to find one. Yeah, so I could just take this Total Wine and More. Let's say I wasn't buying alcohol, I was buying food. I can change the category to it. When in PowerMac, we used to do the classes out at Sierra View Country Club, which is a country club. Well, because it was business and I had lunch there, when I paid for lunch, it came back and showed it as gym. So all I did is I went through and changed it to lunch, to a tax deductible lunch. So you can do that, and you manage them all, and it's just fantastic. It does give you also a credit score, an approximated credit score also. So there's that. Fantastic. You can also do budgeting. It will kind of do budgets on its own automatically, but you can set budgets, and it will let you know where you stand on your budgets as you go along. And it'll say, oh, you're $4 over on your clothing budget this month, or things like that. And it gets very sophisticated, and it's absolutely free. Again, it's funded by the credit card recommendations they'll make for you and things like that. So, and by the way, I think Credit Karma, if you use a simple 1040, it will even do your taxes for free for you. And the nice thing is it's got all that stuff already there. I don't use that. So let's look here. What else? I'm going to show you a Gypsy guide really quick. Hopefully the sound will come through. So let's do a Gypsy guide. I'll do Yosemite. So I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to say start driving, and I'm going to browse tour. So what is that clicking? Somebody's clicking something very loud. It's Shannon's iPad. Okay. So if I go into the map here for Yosemite, you'll see that there's these arrows along the way going in, and then there's different tours here. So in this case, you'll notice there's yellow and red arrows. And what it does is it knows where you are, and these are detecting which direction you're going. So as you in your car go past these locations, it'll show you what's up. So let's go down here into the valley, and let's just go right along here. And I'm going to tap this one, and let me turn the volume up. Hopefully it'll come up.
Start looking forward left. First, we get quick peeks between the trees, but then the view opens up across a meadow. Wow, I see it too. Up on the ridgeline, you can't miss it. Yosemite Falls. If it's late in summer, it's possible there is no water flowing over the falls. I hope we get to see it. If there's room to pull over on the left, go ahead. For an even better view, you can use the paved path on the side of the road to start walking. There are trails heading over to the river for a good long-distance vantage point.
So you see, all of these points are him interacting. So on the route across the top by Tuolumne Meadows, there's a place where there's not a lot of turnouts and not a lot of views or anything. So he'll talk about the history of Yosemite or the geology of Yosemite. And this again is called Gypsy Guide. And it's just awesome. Absolutely awesome. And I think travel for most of us for the next while will be more car trips than air trips. So very, very beneficial. And it plays through the Bluetooth in your car. So that's that. And then, so actually I'm gonna go in and we're gonna do, got a couple things. I've got some home automation things. So I'm gonna take.
It's 10 o'clock.
All right. You know, whoever has that on their computer, you need to turn that off. Everybody else knows it's 10 o'clock except the person that hears that every hour. Let's see. So I have a thing that's a home automation, and I'm going to turn my camera on here. And I have a ceiling fan, and I'm going to say, Echo, turn master fan on. Echo, turn master fan off. Echo, turn master fan light on. So this is an app called Bond, and I'm going to go out on the patio here and show you there. I won't be able to hear you. Were you guys able to hear through the phone?
No.
Okay, well, what I did there is I told it to turn on my patio fan and turn on my waterfall, and it did that. So a couple other apps. So actually, I'm going to go gallery view here. Do we have many golfers in the group? You can. Okay, so there's a great app called Golf Pad GPS. And it's a free app, but I get these little plugs I put on my clubs. And here is round I played yesterday. Oops. And this shows, there's the drive, 200 yards, and it logs my clubs. And it keeps score for me and shows me how far I hit each club. Obviously, I didn't do too well on the on my 3-wood. It only went 76 yards. So this is called Golf Pad GPS. If you're a skier or a snowboarder, Ski Tracks is fantastic and keeps all the days and everything. So here was the last day, Heavenly. It shows your top speed, how far you went, your altitude, and what's even cooler is it will show where I skied that day, and it'll even do a track of it. There's going up the lift, there's going down, all like that. Very, very cool. Kind of back in the same travel mode is I use this all the time in the Eastern Sierras. There's a wonderful app called Peak Scanner. So I'll put in P-E-A-K, Peak Scanner. So you tap that, and it's using virtual reality. I'm going to extend the distance to 124 miles, and you'll see in the distance there's a peak, Whiskey Hill. It's 24 miles away and it's 221 feet lower. Let's see, Black Butte, 831 foot higher. Obviously, if I was in an area where I could see Telegraph Hill. So that's looking out through the camera. Let's see what I've got towards the Sierras, and this would work better outside.
What was the name of that again?
Peak Scanner, P-E-A-K scanner. And it's awesome, especially if you're going in an area. And you'll notice at the bottom, those are all the pinpoints of where the places are. It shows my altitude of 254 feet. And on the left side here is your range. So if you're in where there's a lot of peaks, you can limit your range to 3 miles and go all the way up to 124. And it's just great. And you can, 124 miles, if you have view of the Sierras, you're going to be able to get some of the ones from the Sierras. Let's see. Sugarloaf, Iron Mountain. So I think they're going to be this way. And the size of the peak is the height. And then it shows the distance. It's also great if you're hiking because it'll show you and say that peak is so much higher than you are there. Let's see here. Mint, we talked about. Those of you that are photographers, I use an app called Sol, S-O-L, and I have it set up to do a reminder for me, and it'll tell me I can set it. It gives me a reminder a half hour before sunrise and an hour before sunset. So you can use that. Oh my gosh. For travel, I use Google Translate. It is the best. Translate, Google Translate. So let's go English to German. So I can, in here on Google Translate, you see camera, handwriting, conversation, and voice. So camera, if you use it and you have a sign, it will tell you what it will translate that sign for you. Obviously, though, at the top, I would have to hit the reversing arrows and make it would be in German and it would tell me it in English. Handwriting is where you write it out, but I'm going to show you voice here. So, good morning.
Guten Tag.
So then it shows Guten Morgen. Guten Tag is good day, but whoever said that, Guten Tag is good day, not good morning. And so now if I tap the microphone.
Guten Morgen.
So it repeats it back to you. If you're in conversation mode, the beauty of that is you'll say something, it will translate it into German, and then the other person says something in German and it translates back. So we'll do that. Good morning, how are you?
Guten Morgen. Wie geht es dir?
And then you tap the other one. Guten Morgen, wie geht's?
Good morning. How are you?
So it gives you a chance to do conversations back and forth. And with Google Voice or Google Translate, in the upper right corner, when you tap that, it gives you a choice of languages. And these are recent ones that I was using. And then if you see a download arrow, the beauty of the download arrow is you can download that language. So if you're in a foreign country and you don't want to use all your data, it will download the entire language for you. You'll see that some don't do it. In fact, when I was in Cambodia, the Khmer language didn't download, but it was available. There it is, the Khmer. So in Cambodia, some people speak that, but it isn't downloadable. And then I have a little check mark because I was in Seoul, Korea. So the check mark means it's downloaded is what that means. And you can load those, and the languages don't take up a lot of space at all. So that's Google Translate. It's fantastic, and it's free. It's been on the iPhone for a long, long time. iHeartRadio we talked about. Magnification on the iPhone. This is actually very, very good. So I'm going to show everybody, and you can follow along with this. Grab your iPhones, and it works best on the iPhone. Don't really need it on an iPad. So everybody go to settings, the gray gear. And in settings, we go to accessibility. Some of you may have accessibility inside general, but you're going to go to accessibility. It's about the 15th item down or so, accessibility. And when you tap accessibility, we're going to go down to, and they changed it where it is. Let's see. Go to Magnifier, the third item, and tap Magnifier. And go ahead and turn both of those on. Okay? So again, I'll go back through it for those that didn't make it. Go to Settings, Accessibility, Magnifier, the third item, and make sure both of those on. So now when I close my screen, if you have a Touch ID phone, your home button is the round one at the bottom. If you have a Face ID phone, it's the button on the right-hand side. And whatever button it is, if you tap it really quick 3 times, 1, 2, 3, you're either going to have Magnifier come up, or it's going to be Hearing Devices and Magnifier. And if I tap Magnifier, I'll go ahead and do this. This is a little charger I have right here. I can zoom in on this charger or zoom out. And then it looks like a camera button at the bottom, but what it actually does is it freezes it. And now it's frozen. I can really zoom in if I want. And then if I tap this, if I hold the screen, I can save the image to my camera roll if I want. And then to get rid of it, you just tap the screen again, it goes live, and then untap that button. This is great for menus. And you can, of course, turn on the light, is the lightning rod in the left. That turns on the phone light. Here's like some of my notes. Very, very good, especially trying to read the serial numbers off Apple products. There was a question?
Sorry. How do you freeze it again?
Oh, so what you do is, and don't make yourself get too close because then it doesn't focus well. So what you want to do is you tap the button that looks like a camera button at the bottom, and that freezes it. And then once it's frozen, you can pinch to zoom in and out.
Okay.
That work? Was that Randy?
I don't see the camera button on mine.
Are you?
Mine's not coming on, Ken. It's dark. I've got the screen.
Okay, you may have to tap. Well, is there something on your case or something covering your camera?
No.
Your finger?
No. I've got the, I've got the screen up, but it's not turning the light on, even when I touch the little lightning.
And are you, so like on my screen, do you have a white button on the bottom?
Yeah, I touched that.
Well, hold on. Is the white button got a yellow circle around it, or is it just a white button?
It's white.
Tap it again and see if it is your screen live. Are you seeing different things?
No, it's black.
Then go ahead and tap the button again and it should get you back to live. It should be a solid white button.
It's white.
Okay. Well, then you just force quit it and redo it. And the other one, was that Dennis?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the menu thing at the bottom will go away. And on the right is like filters. Don't worry about those. You don't want filters. So.
What app are we using?
But yeah, you can retract. I'm sorry, what was the question?
What app are we in?
We're in what's called Magnifier. It's actually built in. It's not really an app.
Question.
Yep.
I would like to get a stand so I can put that on my iPhone stand and then hold a document.
Okay, hold on. Whoever else is talking in the background, please mute your microphone. Somebody was talking to someone else in the room. So go ahead and you're over modulating. Just talk in a normal voice, please.
Okay. I would like to get a stand to hold my iPhone so I can hold a document and move it.
Tell me how to turn on Magnifier.
Moving the phone and shaking.
Well, of course, in this, because it's zoomed in. But are you, because you want to take pictures or something? There's tons of different tripod mounts and things like that. I just have, what I use is, here, and I'll show you. So I have, if you have an iPhone 8 or newer, you can, it has wireless charging. I just have this mount like this, and I just set that right in the case and it charges it. All right. So that, again, you triple click to get there once you've turned Magnifier on. Those of you that have hearing aids built in, or hearing aids on your phone, it will come up and say hearing aids or Magnifier on that. So
how did you say to get it if you don't have a home button?
If you have Face ID, it's the button on the right-hand side, and it's a little tough. So when you squeeze that button, make sure you're not hitting the volume buttons on the other side. So you have to click it 3 times in quick succession. Once you've activated it in the accessibility, it comes up.
Kenny, what's the smart, excuse me, what is the smart invert about?
On Magnifier?
Yeah, I don't have the question about hearing devices or whatever else was there.
Oh, no, that's not in Magnifier. You mean when you triple click, it comes up?
No, it's an option. I triple click Magnifier, and then it comes up. 1, 2, 3, let me show you. And then it says Smart Invert or Magnifier.
Okay, Smart Invert is what it'll do is, and that's part of, it may be set in your accessibility menu because Smart Invert inverts the colors. So let's see if I can get Siri to do it.
That's what happened.
Invert my colors.
To what?
Here's what I found.
Okay. Well, no, what it does is it creates higher contrast.
Oh.
So you have some other setting that's causing that to come up like that.
Ooh, why did you do that to me?
And that's it. I didn't. It's in accessibility. So, all right. So we'll go off of that.
Ken,
yeah.
Just a point on that somebody raised with me is that's really good. Like if you're going to the store and want to read nutrition labels and stuff, to be able to look at that, use the magnifier for those kinds of things.
Yeah, and my sister-in-law does it in restaurants. They're usually dark, and sometimes the menus have small print, so it works great for that. So that's why I had you all turn it on, because it's so useful, and all you have to do is triple click to bring it up at any time, and it's very, very useful.
Where are the slow instructions for those of us who are not getting it?
I'm sorry?
Where are the slow?
Are you going to take a break, or are you going to be here during the break? I can help you.
I'll be here during the break.
Okay, maybe even, yeah. So everybody, let's take a break let's do 10 minutes. Please mute your microphone if your restroom's nearby, and if you have an iOS device, please don't take your device with you. And I will tell you, because I've had this happen to me, is I fill my water thing up with my refrigerator water thing, and it sounds just like the restroom, so don't expect that it does. So anyway, and then I'll stick around here for some questions, and Kimberly, we can get you going on that. So
and me too, Ken. I can't get out of the invert now. Everything's dark on my phone.
Well, triple click and see if it comes up again.
Well, it comes up, okay, and
Yeah,
click. Smart invert is checked, so I uncheck
then uncheck it.
Well, it doesn't change. Doesn't change.
Well, let me get Kimberly going, and then I'll do yours.
Okay, I'm going to listen to Kimberly because I'll learn something maybe.
All right. So, Kimberly, go to Settings. Hello, Kimberly? Kimberly, can you hear me?
Yeah, now I'm off mute. Now.
Okay, go to Settings on your
Yeah,
phone.
that part. Uh-huh.
Go to General.
No, I'm in, I have a 10, so it's on.
It's Accessibility, excuse me.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Okay, in accessibility, go to Magnifier.
Uh-huh.
And are both of those checked?
Yeah, I turned both magnifier and auto adjust exposure on.
So they're both green. Okay. Go back to accessibility. And
Yeah.
then, in fact, are you in the same spot, Louise?
Yes, but I don't have that auto
Hang
accessibility.
on. I want to have go to, hang on, there's this place for, where is it?
There it is.
Oh, Louise, go to display and text sizes right under magnifier.
Got it. Okay.
And then go on down and smart invert is down there. Is it on?
It is now.
No, it shouldn't be. Was it on before?
No.
That's interesting. Is classic invert on?
No.
Okay. Is anything on that screen besides bold text possibly?
Just bold text and auto brightness. Auto brightness is on.
No, that's okay, because that just means it uses the ambient light sensor.
Oh.
Okay. Hit the back button up on yours. So Kimberly, double tap your home button and then describe to me what you see, or triple click, I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm locked in. I'm holding this up now. Look at my.
So you're in magnifier.
I'm in magnifier,
Is
but
the padlock locked or unlocked?
it's locked.
Has it got a gray circle around it?
The padlock?
Yes.
No,
Tap the padlock and tell me what happens.
nothing.
It doesn't get a gray circle around it?
No.
Okay. That's interesting.
What's on the screen is a photo that it took the last time.
Oh, well, then you need to tap the button and that'll release it back. Tap the round button one time.
Yeah, well,
And that should get you back to normal.
okay, should isn't happening.
Okay, so are you on a Face ID phone or a Touch ID phone?
It's
Is it a 10 you said?
10, yeah.
Okay, from the bottom, swipe up slowly about an inch and you should get your carousel of apps, right?
Yeah.
So swipe up and away on the accessibility one, the human app there thing.
Ken?
Yeah, Bob?
Just found another control for invert.
Okay, I'm Louise. Okay, one sec. Did you
You
wipe
go-
that up away?
You go to
Bob,
accessibility.
hang on one sec. Kimberly, did you swipe it up and away?
I did.
Did it go away? Did it go away? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay, so go back to your home, just go to your home screen and try triple clicking and see if it works.
Yeah, but I'm back to that same frozen photo.
All right, well, you'll have to restart your phone.
I did
Louise,
that.
are you still on?
Yep, I'm here, dear.
Okay, Bob's got something. Where, Bob?
I go to down to accessibility shortcuts,
Accessibility shortcuts. Okay.
and it's going to
Oh.
give you a list of things you can triple click for. See if if smart invert colors, see if it's checked on or not.
It is checked, yes.
So tap it and take the check off.
Turn it off. Maybe that may be the solution. I'm not guaranteeing it.
I think it is because mine, the hearing device one was on for mine and I don't need it on. So that's great. That's good to know. I didn't know that existed. Thank you, Bob.
Oh, I just found it. I didn't know either.
So how'd that happen when you went into it initially?
Oh, somehow it just it was selected in there. I don't know how, but it doesn't
Well,
matter. You
it
can't go
didn't
forward
help
by, you can't go forward by looking over your shoulder.
Well, you know what? It didn't help either.
You need to force quit the app.
Okay.
Swipe up part way and force quit accessibility, and then do that. And if not, reboot your phone.
Rebooting. Okay. I just don't like that dark color. I'm at that age where I like everything looking like a runway.
But is it still on your phone though? Is your whole phone inverted still?
Yeah, it was.
But not now.
I don't know. I'm rebooting.
Okay. Yeah, so what happened is it may be stuck on, and then we can do that. But yeah, that's for people that have contrast issues. Kimberly, when yours reboots, let me know if it works.
Yeah, now I have magnification, and we've gotten rid of that frozen
Good.
picture.
Okay.
And I can see my keyboard big. It looks like it's just working like it's.
Okay. Well, no, yeah, that wouldn't have changed anything else on there.
So my button does not have a yellow ring about it.
No, it's a whitish ring. It used to be yellow. They've changed it.
Okay. And say again how, this thing is on such short battery saving. The Thunderbolt, I want to use that for what again?
Oh, that just turns the light on, the flash.
The light.
And it should do it automatically, but that's what it.
Okay, yeah, big light. Okay, and the lock. Okay, now the lock. The circle came on, but what is that doing?
That just freezes it. It's more or less like a photo, but it's not taking the photo. It's just freezing it so you can zoom. You can use pinch to zoom into everything. If you watch my screen.
Oh yeah, I see.
So when I have this like this, I'll zoom in. Then when I tap it, it freezes it, takes a second, and then I can really zoom in.
Right.
And then to reactivate, you have to tap the screen and then tap the button with the yellow circle around it, and then it goes back to normal.
Oh, okay.
Really zooms big. That's great.
Oh, it's fantastic.
That'll be good when my bifocals aren't enough.
Hi, Kimberly.
Hi, Louise.
Hey, Ken,
Yes.
I walked into the backyard and my earbuds disconnected, and now I can't get them back connected, even though I have gone to the little volume control and.
Have you taken them out of your ear?
Yeah, and then I put them back in.
Put them in the case. Do you have the case?
Yeah. Oh, you have to just put them in the case.
Well, you don't usually need to, but you should. But then what you can do is you need to go back and just assign them. But put them in the case, pop the case open and closed, and take them out of the case, put them in your ear, and that should reset it.
Okay, thank you. We'll see if that does.
Yeah, so what happens is they actually go for as far as they can, but you went beyond what they could.
And it didn't work.
Well, they don't come back automatically usually. You have to do it like from fresh.
Well, I did. Okay, I'm trying, but it's not refreshing. Okay.
Hey, Ken,
Yeah?
a question on the section of the magnifier that we did. There's one called voiceover.
I'm sorry, what was your question?
It's on the question we went to the magnifier. You hit the button 3
Yeah,
times.
you don't want voiceover unless you're sight impaired.
Yeah, but if you hit that, how do you clear it off your phone?
Don't hit it.
Okay.
So is yours on, I assume?
No, I turned it off, but I think
Right.
it's you have to retouch it on the.
Yeah, and you have to double tap everything then.
Yeah, right. That's what I thought.
That's the problem, because the first tap tells you what your finger's on. The second tap actually touches it.
Oh, I get you. Okay. Yeah, I like your answer. Don't touch it.
Ken, I have a question. When would I use the magnifier versus just taking a photo and then viewing the photo and magnifying it?
Well, so if it's something you want to keep, do the photo, but you can actually do that from Magnifier. Magnifier is really just to, let's put it this way, it's the equivalent of walking with something and taking a magnifying glass and using it to see what you want to see, and when you're done, you're done. Whereas the photo, you can save it from that. So if I go into my magnifier and I go in and let's say it's this, so I'm gonna say, okay, here it is. Oh, cool, we'll get this effect right here. There we go. So I'm gonna tap it to freeze it. Now I haven't taken a picture, I've frozen it. So then I can zoom into certain parts, right? And then if I do wanna save it though, I press and hold on the screen, and where it says save image, we'll save it to my camera roll. But this does so much better than the camera will, because with the camera, we'll go to camera, and if I try to zoom in on that, I can only go so far. Well, let's not do the weird thing. I can zoom in only so far, and then when I tap it, I can't really zoom in anymore, and see how I'm zoomed in, but I'm getting all this movement. Whereas if I go to triple click, I'm gonna go, let me activate it again. So if I go here to this, I can zoom in quite a ways. Then I hold it and freeze it, and it actually does a really good job of freezing it without shaking it. And then I can really zoom in. That's like the pixels on my computer screen. So it's more versatile for doing this. And then you can save the image.
How you took a picture of it, Ken?
I'm sorry?
Say again how you took the picture.
When you're in magnifier mode, you
Yeah.
can get where you want. You freeze it first by just tapping the button one time, okay? So now it's frozen. I'm moving my hands around, but you're only seeing that. If I press and hold on the screen, save image comes up.
Press and hold on the screen.
Yeah, tap and hold.
Oh, got it. Save image.
And save image will save it to your camera roll just like any old picture.
Oh, very cool.
So that way you only save the ones that you really want.
Can I throw some in here, Ken?
Yeah, please.
I use an app called Maglite Pro, I think.
Yeah.
Because what it does, it has built-in image stabilization and a couple other things that the system's magnifier doesn't.
Yeah, but you have to dig into the app to get it. And this is just, everybody has this one, but yeah.
Yeah.
I'll get right back. I've got to fill my water up.
Okay.
So, Bob, would using this be kind of like having a macro lens on the camera?
On which, this app that I'm talking about?
This magnifier and then the save image, if you had it really expanded, like Ken was just showing me, and you save that and it's got the image stabilization and so on, would that work kind of like a macro lens, do you think?
No, it's just another app. I mean, it activates the camera, and you know, where the image stabilization feature, what I like about that is when you get close up, sometimes it's hard to hold the camera still enough.
Yeah.
And it'll do that for you. Plus, it has a little bit of a light adjustment in it, a couple other things that, you know, I'm just saying, you know, something you'd take a look at the app on the App Store and see what you think of the features.
Say again the name of that app that you will
It's Maglite, hold on a second. Maglite Pro.
LITE?
No, LIGHT.
Pro. So kind of like the flashlight, Maglite.
Yeah, yeah.
This is a camera thing.
And one of the features that actually can control the automatically control the intensity of the light. It's the magnifier on steroids, kind of.
Uh-huh. So is that designed more like a flashlight, like the Maglite flashlight, but you can also take the photo with it?
Yeah, it can take photos. It has a camera button, so.
Mm-hmm.
And you take a photo, it just automatically saves it to your iPhotos. I guess I can talk more. My wife and daughter just left. Actually, I'm going to take off my earphones because I put on earphones so that they don't have to listen to everybody.
Right. Well, it's always good to have these tools that help substitute for having great eyes.
If you want to do macro photography, you should get Camera Plus 2. It's excellent.
Yes, it is. That's one of the four. I keep 4 camera apps on my front page, and that's one of them. The other 3 are a DSLR camera, Pro camera is nice because you can completely adjust everything just like you would on a DSL camera. And then there's something called Moment that is good for a number of things. I don't remember which right now, but then there's a ton of good camera apps out there. So.
These are all that go on your phone, Carol?
Yeah, they're all, yeah.
And Bob?
And several of them require that, you have like a iPhone 10 or better, but
yeah,
because they're making use of the multiple lens setups.
So on the screen, you guys can see I have Camera Plus 2. Well, actually Camera Plus, but I have Camera Plus 2. 360 pano. This is incredible. It allows you to do a full 360-degree panorama. Lightning cam. If you have your camera out there and there's a lightning storm, it will automatically fire when the lightning happens.
Mm.
Hydra is a really good one.
Mm-hmm.
Long exposure is pretty cool.
I'll go back, Ken. That nav camera.
Mm-hmm.
If you've looked at that in a while, I think that's the one that'll tell you right on camera your elevation, your longitude, your latitude, and all that.
Yeah, it's an overlay. It's like a filter.
Yeah, which can be useful.
Right there.
If you like something like that, Bob, a good one, another good one is called Theodolite. It's pretty powerful. Gives you kind of heads-up display.
What is the name of it again?
It's called Theodolite, Theodolite. It's a multifunction.
I'll write that down and check it out.
Yeah, it's
again, Al.
Theodolite.
Boy, B-O.
D as in day.
Oh, thank you. D-O.
Like Theodore without the R-E.
Yes,
Oh, yeah,
that's it. That's it. It's a multifunction viewfinder that combines a compass, a 2-axis inclinometer, rangefinder, GPS, mag, whole bunch of stuff. It all overlays it on a photograph, and then you can a lot of times if I need to chronicle all the details of a particular shot, I'll cue that up, and it'll display all the information about it, GPS, elevation, azimuth, and it superimposes that on what the camera's seeing. And I'll just record that, and I'll put that in my camera roll for, for a quick reference to what I saw and what the conditions, where in the sky I was pointing the camera. It's really great. Nice tool.
Yeah, it'd be really helpful to know where to go back and do it again if you
Yeah, exactly.
like your light and everything else, but something about the shot doesn't work.
Yeah, actually though, your iPhone camera has all that data in it. And so it'll do your settings. So you get a program called XF, EXIF data, I believe it is.
That's a very good app.
Oh no, View XF right there.
UXF, yeah. There's several of them out there on the App Store, but I use that, UXF.
So if I go to my photo, like here with sunset, here's Sun Valley. So then if I go to the share menu and I go to, oh, come on, is it not in here? Oh, I know. Here it is, View XF. And there it gives you all the location.
We're not seeing that on.
Oh, that's weird. Yeah, hang on.
I'm not
oh, I
seeing
know,
it.
because it
We're seeing
changed.
the photo okay, but
Yeah, it changed to photos. Let's see if that's interesting. No, wow. So it won't do it because it's displaying the photo because it's trying to display for me. Yeah. That doesn't work.
it's a nice photo.
That was Sun Valley. That was we were there for dinner while that was happening. And actually it was that's the Sun Valley ski resort in the background, and then this we took a sleigh ride to get to this location. And the coolest part about this was on the sleigh ride, I sat next to this guy and I hadn't met him. Somebody mentioned it. So the guy's 94 years old. He worked for one of the ski companies and designed the boots that I used to fit when I worked in ski shops. And he just retired recently at 94 after working there for 50 something years. Guy was an incredible engineer, but the rest of the story is he had competed in a cross-country ski race earlier in the week at 94, and he won his age group because there's nobody else in his age group, but the guy's also an Ironman triathlete, and he still competes in Ironman triathlons, and he always wins his age group at 94 years old. It gave me such hope. Okay, so we're back, I think. Oh, let me turn on my video. So I'm going to go over some of the questions that have come up. Do I need an app in order to dictate documents on my iPad? Siri doesn't let me pause and think about next sentences. Yes, you can't pause for very long, though. I always say, think in, you have to think ahead of time, think in think in phrases, but think in words, so you dictate. There is on iOS device though, there's an accessibility feature that allows you to do complete voice control. So if you look on the YouTube videos, accessibility and voice control, or if you go to the Lincoln Hills Apple User Group website, I did an accessibility presentation on this. It's amazing. It lets you do completely hands-free, do error correction and everything else. So PG bar, that's your thing. You go to Apple support, YouTube Apple support, and say, gosh, not dictation. It's voice control is what it's called. Excuse me. Okay, Dennis Irwin's looking for an iPad mini. Wi-Fi only. I heard somebody said there was one on sale recently. Yeah, you'll have to email Bob on that, Dennis, if you want to Oh, Bob, I answered that already. Sorry. Al says auto sleep is great. Use it a lot. Heart watch is good also. Al, you like all the granularity it gives you with your with the sleep control, right? Al may not be back. Apps to identify stars and constellations. There's probably some other people that could chime in on this. One I use is called Sky Guide.
Good.
And anybody else?
I use that one.
Yeah, good. Okay. That was, Bob. Yeah, Bob already answered that too.
There's a lot of them out there.
Yeah. Can you get podcasts to auto download latest version? Yeah, I'll show you that because that's important. Hopefully we got most everybody back now. So the problem with podcasts is if you subscribe, and you should subscribe to a podcast, but the normal settings are you just get, it fills your phone up at all. So I'm going to go into podcasts and I'll go like to the stuff you should know. So I'm in the, I haven't listened to a while. So I say start downloading again. But once you've subscribed, you press the ellipsis, the three dots like that. And I always go down to settings and click on settings. And then I do custom setting. And when you hit custom setting, you get this other menu. Come on. Oh, now it's frozen. Interesting. Settings. There. Custom settings brings up this menu. And what I say limit episodes to the 10 most recent, because that way it doesn't fill your phone with hundreds of different ones. And it will always have your 10 most recent ones. Let's say you play through the 10 most recent, then it will bring in 10 more less recent, but to fill your list. So you'll always have 10 of them there. And that works quite well. So again, that's in settings. So you go to the podcast and you hit the ellipsis, the three dots, and then go down and go to settings. And then you tap custom setting, and then you get this. And you can have them displayed oldest to newest or newest to oldest, etc. And you can tell it to download only new ones, or even if it's repeats, but it'll know if you've already played it. So that's the podcast app. Al, did you end up seeing my screen after all? You may not be back.
He's there, but he's voice muted.
Okay. So Yvonne wants to know if you can see the account balances. Yes, in Mint. Yvonne, are you there? Hold your space bar down if your thing's muted. No. We've been more than 10 minutes, haven't we?
Yes.
Okay. I'll wait till she comes back.
And I had a question.
Yeah, Kimberly, I'm reading it right now. Yeah,
Okay.
It's using Mint like the report Quicken gives. It does the same thing. It goes in and gets it. And I find that you have to kind of massage to get the reports to do it exactly the way you want, but you can get reports out of it. And they're downloadable as a CSV file that allows you to put them into a spreadsheet. Did that answer your question? Kimberly?
Well, I wasn't concerned about the spreadsheet, but the what you showed looked like your transactions all combined.
Oh no, I can break the transactions out. And again, the nice thing is you can do it on a computer too, and I find it a little less cumbersome. But what I like to use Mint for is to see if a credit card charge has gone through or things like that. But in Mint, I can go to a particular card, for instance. So if I go to my credit cards, for instance, and I want to say, okay, this Chase Bank card, those are the transactions just for that card.
Right. Well, the phone app for Quicken is similarly an overview, and you can check things like credit card transactions, and you could categorize them.
Yeah, you can do that here, but Mint allows you to do budgets. Mint's free. It works on the Mac, on the PC, and it just is great for record keeping. So I'm not, if you're used to Quicken, go ahead. But Quicken doesn't like Mac users, remember?
Yeah, it does seem to have less or fewer features.
I won't support them because they're terrible to Mac. So Bev wants to know, listening to podcasts. I think I just listened to the podcast. It's using data when walking, get pauses in the podcast. Yeah, so Bev, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so if you can download, now do you are these podcasts you subscribe to or just random ones?
I'm not sure about subscribing. I guess I haven't really used that function.
Yeah. So if you subscribe, one of the settings you can do if you're worried about data usage or connectivity. So I tell it, like, did you see where I did settings and told it to download my 10 most recent?
Yes.
Okay. So if you do that, they're always there. And then if you don't have a connection, boom. And then the other thing is you can even, one setting you can have in there and say, don't download on my cellular, only download these when I'm on Wi-Fi.
Yeah, no issues with the cellular data. Have T-Mobile.
Yeah, but there's sometimes a connection issue. Let's say you're up in the mountains or something.
Well,
So
I just
that's the way to do it. But your thing about it pausing, that is probably because it's not downloaded ahead of time.
Yes, and so how does one download ahead? You use the podcast app?
Well, you can go find you're in the podcast app, and then there'll be a little thing and you can tap the plus and then tap download and it'll download that one. And it might start playing, but you just hit pause on the play, but it'll continue to download the rest of it.
Okay.
But if it's what you listen to consistently, I recommend subscribing to it.
Sounds good. Yeah, 'cause my problem is I'll go in and Google like Terry Gross and find a program and then.
Yeah, but no, just do that. You can, Terry Gross has her own thing in podcasts, I believe.
Okay, I'll explore using that more. Thank you.
Yeah, because I don't think if you're using the NPR app and those things, you're basically streaming live instead of storing it. It's the same thing if you think of Netflix and Amazon Prime. You can now download things for when you travel and you can play them back within 30 days. But if you're just streaming it, you're at the mercy of your connection.
That's been the problem, the streaming and knowing how to do another way of doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's back.
So Roy Chastain has another Translate one called Reverso Translate. I've heard of it. And for traveling on highways, he says SIG alert, and that brings up one I'm going to show here right after we get it started again. And an app, everybody, you can go with that Theodolite that Al mentioned for photography is there in the chat. And Dennis, you want to see my photo apps? Okay, yeah. I don't have all of them stored in my folder, but here you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, here's the first page of photo apps. Let me know when you're done.
Thank you.
Here's my second page.
Thank you.
And then my photo editing apps. These are way outdated.
Okay, thanks.
And then my photo setups like locations and things like that. That's the top three are the suite of the Photographer's Ephemeris apps. Pulse and Spark are adapters for my camera. They don't count. That Yosemite is actually a guide. That's a guy, Michael Fry, did this great Yosemite book and then Camera Connect. So
thank you.
But I have, gosh, I don't know if I have more in here. Here's all the Gypsy guides I have. There's more than those. They're great. I just love Gypsy Guide.
Could you display that one more time?
Sure. The easiest way for that one is go to their website and they show you where they have guides.
Okay.
And like I said, so like for instance, the combo, when I did Banff and Jasper, I didn't have to do Banff and Jasper. I did them together. Or there's Canadian Rockies and things like that. And my God, it's just so useful.
Thank you.
Let's see. Oh, and I should mention, so most people are probably back. If we go to Google Maps, because I know people sometimes, if you're not on T-Mobile, you're concerned about international data. So if you go to Google Maps, and we go and let's look at Paris, France. So if I take this right here, there's the Paris, France app. I'm sorry, Paris, France. And what I want to do is, I'm on Google Maps. Where'd they move it? Oh, come on. There we go. There's a download button. It used to be called offline maps. So if I say download, I can size my circle. So basically at some point, yeah, see, it becomes fixed. So it will take, and this entire area that's encompassed by this circle, and it'll show that's almost a gigabyte, 730 megabytes. So if I tap download, it stores it on my phone, and you can have your data off and be completely interactive. It's getting all the information, all the restaurants, everything else in there, and you download it. And then it stays active for about 30 days, and you can re-download if you want. I did this when I did a cruise up Alaska. Let's see, let's do Vancouver.
Yeah, is that Google?
Yeah, it's the Google Maps allows you to do it. So I did Vancouver, BC, and I knew I wasn't going to have any connection going up in the Inland Passageway and places like that. So I downloaded different sections. I zoomed it out till I could get to it. And then I would download this section. Then I'd download the next section and download the next section. And if you don't have connectivity, it will work with that. And it works very well. I did that in Peru also. Because of T-Mobile, I don't care because I get tons of data and I get international data for free. But for me, it was a matter of having connectivity. So that's another huge feature with Google Maps. And there is a thing called, because what brought that up was I saw my app I have here that was City Maps to Go. Ultimon Pro here, City Maps to Go, allows you to download city maps beforehand. So, all right. Okay, so I'm going to talk about two apps that I use. Well, in Roy talked about, where is it? Roy Chastain talked about Sig Alert, which is a good app. One I use is called CARR, C-A-R-R. And it's a traffic cone, you can see. So with the traffic cone with CARR, it is basically traffic maps. Like there you can see so it does it by my location. So it says there's a traffic collision here right by off 65. So if I tap on it, there's the information of this is the Chp Dispatch, and it shows you what's happening. Dodge Ram versus 94 Ford Chevy, 94 red Chevy. And then there's no, both vehicles are drivable. It says where it is. So that's this. But what I really like about it is it'll show you if there's any highway closures, and it shows you all the traffic cams. Like here's the traffic cam at Highway 65 and there. This app is CARR for CA, California Road Report, CARR. If people want to see, I love it when I'm traveling to different areas. I want to see how much homes are nearby. I fire up the Zillow app, Z-I-L, just like pillow with a Z, Z-I-L-L-O. So if I tap the little arrow in the upper right corner, it zooms into where I am, and I can zoom around here. And let's see, here's a house right here. I tap, it loads in, and it basically uses public data. And I'm trying to see if it will tell me. It'll tell you for sale ones too, but I don't have that filter on. Yeah, I don't know why it's, oh, there we go. So the yellow means that's make me an offer. We should have some homes for sale here. There we go. There's a red one for sale in downtown Lincoln. And I don't know why it's not listing any in our area right here. You can draw an area, but Zillow, just like pillow, Z-I-L-L-O-W. Whenever again, like when I travel somewhere, I'll use it and I'll try narrow in and say, oh my gosh, that house on the beach, that's $4 million. Or if you really want a good awakening, you go to 17-mile drive and you see some pretty amazing things. So those are kind of my top hits. I mentioned the TED app I didn't mention, which is very good.
Ken, before you go too much further, can I ask a quick question?
Please go ahead.
Thank you. About CARR, C-A-R-R, correct?
Correct.
Why can't it won't come up in my apps?
Yeah, let me look at that. So I hit search. So you watch the screen here. In the App Store, I'm in search. I don't let it fill in there. I just hit search, and there it pops up. So it doesn't automatically fill because it's not that popular. So let's talk about searching the App Store. So I'm going to tap the App Store button. I go to the search at the top, and I go C-A-R-R. So you'll notice it's showing a lot of other apps here that start with C-A-R-R, and it's based on popularity. So I don't see any of them there, so I just hit the search button in the lower right, and CARR comes up, and you can see it's the traffic cone there.
Oh, okie dokie.
Yeah, so that's a good point because I've run into that before. So.
Well, thank you so much.
Yep. Any other questions from the crowd? Feel free to raise your hand by hitting in participants or on an iOS device more. And otherwise, I'm happy to entertain and find out other apps from other people. Other apps from other people, anybody? Bob, you got any that you want to share with us? Oh, here, hang on. We've got, go ahead, Bert.
That's good because I wasn't ready.
Okay.
Sure.
Bert, unmute your microphone and go right ahead.
Okay. Bert? I have my iPad here.
Okay.
And I have search, and it has all kinds of suggested apps. And
in the App Store?
Yes.
Or just on your main screen. Okay.
And it has different apps, and it says get. Well, I don't know the price on it. I don't know if it's free. How do you?
If there's no price shown, it's free. So let me pull up on my screen. Do you mind sharing what app it is so I can go to the same screen you're looking at?
Well,
okay, never mind. I'll just pick one.
Silly games on it.
What's that?
I didn't specify any search, but is the TED app, is that TED Talks?
Yeah, so I'll go to the TED app here. There's TED Talks on it, but I don't want to use the login here, so I'm just going to hit TED. And the first one is usually in advertising. And then, so I have a little cloud by mine, which means I have bought the TED app before, or excuse me, when I say bought, it's a free app. But if I tap on the TED app, what you do is you go down here, and first of all, there's no price on the TED app. And then down here, it says in-app purchases. So it allows you to be a TED supporter, but really doesn't require anything. So that's where a free app, if it's a free app, and it will usually say, let me see if we can find one here.
So you can't get TED for free, is that correct?
No, TED's free, I believe. So let's just pull up TED Masterclass right here, okay? So you see how it says get, and then it says in-app purchases. The app that you were looking at, did it say in-app purchases under the word get? Oh, you guys aren't seeing my screen. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, you are.
Whoops.
I'm not.
Okay. Yeah, that's weird because on my iPad, oh, it moved. You're not seeing my screen now?
No, I haven't been for a while. I'm not sure.
Yeah, you were gone. During the break, I tried to grab you. Yeah. So,
yeah.
Are you seeing me?
I am seeing you, and I can do the gallery view and all that, but whatever you're displaying.
Are you on dual monitors?
Yeah.
It's on your other monitor.
Well, I looked and I scrolled around. I've got them all on, and I'm not seeing it.
Well, you could leave and come back because that's the problem. So if you go into your Zoom settings, make sure it's not set on dual monitor. Go to Zoom, go to the
right.
top and say not dual monitor.
Should I just unclick it?
See if it's set on dual monitor and undo it, and then you should be fine because it'll coalesce it into one monitor.
Okay, yeah, I got it. Thank you.
I'm seeing your phone.
Okay, good. Anybody else not seeing my phone? Okay. Hang on.
Oh, there we go.
All right. So if so it's going to say, if it just says get, it's free. If it says, and so there's actually, here's one that I use, and in fact I'll show you this in a minute because it's really cool. PG and E toolkit. So I'm going to say that. So PG&E toolkit I already have, but you'll notice the 99-cent version here. It's 99 cents and it has in-app purchases. So if I tap on this app, I go on down. First of all, it'll show me compatibility, like works on this iPhone. It'll also say if it works on an iPad, etc. Also, it'll tell you if it has an Apple Watch component. Many of these apps have a sister app that goes over on there, and then in-app purchases. So if you want to store and backup, these are the prices for that, for this particular app. But if it's a free app, let's go into apps. And I'm going to go into, let's see. Oh, let's just do this. We read too. So you see it says get. That means there's no in-app purchases. If I go down here, see there's no place to do in-app purchases. So if it just says get, it's free. And then you have to use your biometric, either your thumbprint or your Face ID or your passcode for your phone or your face to actually, quote, purchase it, even though it's free. And if it's free now, it'll continue to be free, and they can't sneak in charges at some point. So then there's also apps that have just a payment. Let's go here to, so the other nice thing is if you're in the App Store like this, in the lower left, you go to Today. And Apple has a curated list of different apps. Games are popular. I'm not a big game. Here's one, Digital Concert Hall. That's pretty cool. And then Making a Difference, Deep Dive that beats stress with meditation. So 5 games we love, Skate City, game, God boy, a lot of people are doing games here, it looks like. App of the day, what's this one? Learn whatever you want when you want. So I'll tap that. So now it talks about it. They give you a story about it. And again, at the top, it says get, and it says in-app purchases. So go through it there, and you can read about it. Then I just hit the X to close it in the upper right. Boy, lots of games. Games are very popular. App of the day, 7 quick workouts, things like that. So did that answer the question on yours there, Bert?
Yes, I do have, when you visited years ago, I have Clark Howard.
Yeah, that's a the app or the podcast?
It's a podcast.
Okay.
So if I'm on that, if I'm on podcast, and
you guys, everyone should listen to Clark Howard. Nicest guy in the world, very informative on travel and on finance. And he talks very slow. He's a slow talker. So what I do when I play Clark Howard,
Hey, it's Clark. Before we get into today's podcast, I wanted to give you a heads up. The producers, Kim and Joel,
are you guys hearing that?
Yes.
Okay, hang on one sec. So let me tap. Oh, it keeps going off. So here's his normal speed.
on vacation this week. And so we are going back to our old format of you hearing
Now he's at
calls
1.5
instead of Kim and
speed.
Joel asking the question.
I play him at 1.5 speed because he's easy to listen to at 1.5 speed. And I spend 50% less time listening to a 33% less time listening to a podcast at double speed like that. There are some podcasters I can't do that to because it drives you absolutely batty. But you'll notice he doesn't sound like Alvin and the Chipmunks because that speed works great. When I hear him at regular speed, it sounds like he's had a stroke. So anyway, the Clark Howard podcast is there. Go ahead with the rest of your question, Bert.
It appears that I have 12, maybe it's the 12 most recent ones. I guess they're all downloaded. I'm not sure.
Well, if you go in, so like I'll go to his there, so you can see my episodes. These are all downloaded, and then if they're not downloaded, you'll see the little cloud symbol. So I could download those. Those are ones I've listened to, so I don't really need to download them. And you can see the little progress bar, like on this one, the Kroger is changing on 5/2/19. There's 38 minutes left of that. And I have to point out, this is like a 38-minute show. This on the radio is a 1-hour show. So not only can I listen to it in 1.5 speed, but I'm cutting out 22 minutes of commercials. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Can you show how you got to settings again to?
Yeah, so once I subscribe, in fact, let's find a podcast that I don't subscribe to. Anybody got any top podcasts that I should be listening to?
Mac Break Weekly.
I'm already subscribed on that one, unfortunately, so that won't work.
Hidden Brain, I like.
Hidden Brain. All right, cool. Let me just pull that up. Hidden Brain. There it is. So it's an NPR thing. Okay, so I'm going to tap that. So I'm not subscribed. So I'm going to subscribe. Actually, if we look at the ellipsis, there's different things I can do here. I can subscribe. I can copy the link. The other thing is you can share a link with someone. If there's a podcast you like, you go in here and share it with them. But let's do Hidden Brain. So I'm going to subscribe first. I hit the subscribe button. Boom, I'm subscribed. Now, I can download. I didn't have to subscribe to download these things that you see the plus signs with. I could have just downloaded a few episodes and see if I like it. But there's every podcast that says subscribe is totally free. There will never be a charge on podcasts like this. There are other places you can pay for podcasts, but it's free here. So I'm tapping the 3 dots, the ellipsis on the right-hand side. And then I go down here and I'm going to go to settings. And in settings, I'm going to tap custom settings. And I'm going to go down here and say limit episodes to 10. Now, I wish there was a way I could set it so every time I subscribe, it does that. But no, I have to go back in and do this every single time. So now when I go back to it and click done, now I can go down here and it still hasn't added this September 21st one. Oh, that's an old one. That's a trailer, so don't do that. So it said Monday. So it's got a little download arrow on it, and I can sit there and tap the cloud, and you can see there's my download progress. And once it's done that, boom, it's a 55-minute show. It downloaded that entire show. It's ready to go whenever I listen to it. And as I listen to them, it goes from my playlist to my already played playlist. And so therefore you don't have to manage it at all. Okay?
Ken?
Yes.
When I click on those the 3 dots, I don't see the same thing you do. I don't have settings. I get share, subscribe, copy link, and report a concern.
Is it one you've already listened? Is it a single podcast or is it a?
It's this Hidden Brain. I just did something that I don't normally have.
Interesting.
And I haven't hit subscribe yet.
But weren't getting the rest of these.
That's correct.
Well, if when you subscribe, then you hit the dots and you get a different menu.
Okay.
And I'm not, yeah. So before I subscribed, I did that. So that's weird. When you get little anomalies like that, you force quit and then come back to it sometimes. So any other questions on managing podcasts?
Bertie, I have a question. Getting back to this, when I walk, I like to listen to Clark Howard. Now, if we download it and it goes to the cloud, are we using?
No, wait. You download it from the cloud. That's what that little cloud icon is. If
Okay.
it's downloaded, it lives on your phone.
Thank you. So I'm not using data.
Correct.
Thank
And also, if you're you know, if you're in a bad sale zone or things like that. So that's why I always say, just give me the 10 most recent. I could be going across the desert where there's no cell towers and they're on the phone. And the beauty of it is, once you've listened to it, it goes into recently played. And then at some point it takes them off of your phone. So it's not filling your phone.
Thank you.
If you haven't listened to a podcast, so I'll go to my subscription list, which is denoted by library at the bottom. When I click my library and then click library, so I haven't listened to, Renee Rich, Tech Meme Home. I haven't listened to this one in a while. You'll notice what it says. It says, oh, are you not interested anymore? You haven't listened to this in a while. So the nice thing is it's managing it for you. And I say, oh, I haven't listened to it for a while. Okay, well, or I just tap it and say, start downloading again, and it will give me the 10 most recent. Apple does a great job of that. And then let's go in and look at one other setting, I think. Let's see. I think it's in, let me do this, bear with me really quick here. Yeah, so if I go to settings in podcasts, here's what you want to look at. It sounds like some people are concerned about cellular data. Well, first thing I should say is go get T-Mobile and you won't be concerned about cellular data. But right here in the podcast list, I have cellular data turned on, which means it will give me my podcast whether I'm on Wi-Fi or cellular. But then what you can do is if you turn that off, you will not be getting the podcasts on cellular data. Now, the next, so that's if you want to get it live. In the next setting where it says podcast settings, block downloads over cellular. In other words, you'll be listening to them live, but it won't go in back and bring in the 10 most recent episodes or anything else until you're on Wi-Fi. And these are the things you can set here. This is where I wish I could say, give me the 10 most recent. Okay, any other podcast questions? Podcast is such a great
Ken,
tool.
can you say again how you adjusted the speed of the sound?
Oh,
of the
sure.
iPod?
Yeah, and I love it because I keep my AirPods with me. They're always in my pocket. If I'm going to Home Depot or I'm going to Costco, I just pop those things in and I'm listening to a podcast and it's on my time. So when I go to the podcast itself, so for instance, Clark Howard here, you'll notice in the lower left, it says 1.5x. Every time I tap on it, it changes speed up to 2x. That's a little fast. Then 1.5 speed. Let's listen to that.
Questions that you posted for us for the show. So
1x.
as soon as they're back, we'll go back to
1.5x.
being the ones asking questions you post at clark.com/ask.
And 2x.
And I am hoping so much that
see, he can listen to it 2x.
And private schools
and actually it sets it not for just
around the country.
It doesn't set it just for that podcast. It's all your other podcasts. I'm going to give you a guy here that this is definitely one you cannot listen to at 2x.
Unemployment unexpectedly dropped. Some Democrats are upset about it. The New York Times woke staffers destroy a job Fed pick to stop the conservative ballot, and Drew Brees' fulfillment is rejected. I'm Ben Shapiro. This is Ben Shapiro Show.
So definitely can't listen to him at 2x. But the trick here is you'll notice that when you speed up like a record, if you go real quick, you play a 33 LP at 45 speed, they sound like Alvin and the Chipmunks. The way that the podcasts work is it takes that dead airspace between each word and compresses it. So you'll notice there's no tonal variation. Otherwise, it sounds like Alvin and the Chipmunks. It doesn't do that. So it's very pleasant to do it, but it does take a different level of concentration depending on what speed you do it at. So again, in the play, and then if you have it on your Apple Watch, actually, let me see if I can do this. I'll show you on my Apple Watch. So let's go into podcasts. We'll go back to Clark Howard. And this is excellent with your Apple Watch. And I'm going to set my phone like this. So here's, let me get the podcast going.
The Ben Shapiro Show is sponsored by ExpressVPN. Your data is for business protected at Express.
Wait before they make a decision.
So on my
about
Apple
whether
Watch,
kids will go back in the classroom, depending on where you live in the country, August or September,
you'll see,
for the fall semester. It is my strong belief.
You'll
that
see
we
I
need to
get the
get
controls
elementary, middle, and
of
high
the
school students
podcast right
back
here.
into the classroom.
I can
in the fall.
adjust the
But
volume
I
by
know that from a
sliding.
public health standpoint, there are people who worry a lot about.
Notice that's turning the volume up and down. I'll keep it down a little bit. I can pause it by hitting that. I can play it. The other thing is I can hit the 15-second back, hit the left. It goes back 15 seconds, goes forward 30 seconds to get you through commercials. And then this little AirPlay logo on the bottom says, do I want to play it on Zoom or do I want to play it on my headphones, or where do I want to play it? And it's then my speed is in the lower right, 1x, 2x, half speed in there. And then if I tap that, it gives you the different show orders. Oh, let's get. So that automatically pops up on your Apple Watch. And so when you've got your AirPods connected and you're listening to it, you can be going along and you go, oh, I'm going to skip forward through this commercial and tap the 30-second button on your Apple Watch. So those of you that have Apple Watches, it's awesome for podcasts. Any other questions on podcasts? Apple Watch, playing it back. And actually the Apple Watch is not just podcasts. If you're listening to one of the radio apps, iHeartRadio, any music that you're listening to, you have those controls on your Apple Watch. If you're in Pandora, you can hit pause, you can skip forward, do things like that. So it becomes an extension, essentially a remote control that's on your wrist at all times. So,
Ken,
yes, go ahead.
how do I add Hidden Brain to my podcast library?
Subscribe. It will automatically, that's what puts it in the library. And if you don't subscribe and you just tap some episodes, it'll put those in your library also.
Thank you.
Okay,
Ken,
questions up over here. Hang on.
Oh, sure.
All
right.
Have you talked about Park Mobile? Hi, Karen. I don't know Park Mobile. Is that a parking, finding parking spots?
Just a minute, let me get myself unmuted. Yes, it's a parking app that's used not only by the city of Sacramento, but some other jurisdictions as well.
Oh,
and
to pay for your parking.
It's to pay for your parking.
Yep.
At parking meters, a lot of garages use it. And the advantage is you choose an amount of time. You can have several automobiles listed and you pay for it. And then if you get busy and you're not going to get back to your car in time, it notifies you how close you are to expiration and you can extend the time right in the app.
Oh, fantastic. And does it take an override, or is the parking price the same as if you paid in a different way?
It's the same. And
fantastic.
And it will let you park for the maximum amount of time or any amount that you choose. And what's nice about it for me, I live downtown. Parking is difficult and expensive for people who come to visit me. I have them give me their license number. I put that in my app. When they park, they read me the number off from the meter or wherever they are, and I can pay for their parking for them.
That's well, and the beauty of it, being able to extend it, and it gives you a monitor. Is it this one here with the green?
Yes, that's it.
Yeah. So recently, North Star Ski Area started charging for parking, and they're using an automated thing. I think this might be the one they're using. So that's awesome. Speaking of parking spots, there's an app called Spot Hero. And for instance, if I'm going to fly out of San Francisco International, I can go in here and find parking, and I'll say SFO. And when do I want to park there? I'll say here, next, end parking, so many days later, boom. find parking, and it shows me the rates at the places, and they're significantly reduced below what these people charge if you just show up and you pay through this, and then you get authorized while you're there. So it's called Spot Hero. That's excellent. Karen, thanks. That spurred me doing that one. But man, Park Mobile, and I showed that here in the App Store for you guys. Park Mobile, right there. That's awesome.
It also shows you available spots, and there are several things.
Oh, it ties into like when they have that little board up showing you what levels and things. That's fantastic. You can reserve
spots in advance, and yeah, it's a really handy app, especially in the downtown Sacramento area. I don't know if it works in other areas in Sacramento County or not.
Roy mentions that for those of you with hearing aids, Easy Line Remote is a wonderful way for adjusting your volume. Roy, do you use the built-in accessibility that the triple click gets you from the iPhone?
I think I have it clicked, but I use this app with these latest hearing aids, and it's wonderful. I like the sound on the TV louder than my wife, and this way we no longer fight over the volume control. I just turn up my volume.
Easy Line Remote, there it is. Good job.
I got turned on to that by the guy at Costco, the hearing aid guy.
Good. Well, make sure that you may have the MFI on the phone for the other settings, because you can use the live listen capability with the iPhone. Bev Lawrence wants to say, thanks everyone. Go to the live webinar for her German Genealogy Club. Wow, that's kind of niche in there. So, das ist sehr gut.
My genealogy partner runs that Zoom.
What's that?
My genealogy partner, Richard Hansen, is running that right now.
What kinds of things are in in-app purchases? In-app purchases can be anything, and it really, a lot of times you can get in for free, and you get some, like that Calm app, you get a lot of great stuff, you get some great meditation and different things, but you can go and get beyond it if you really, it's nice because I call it the drug pusher approach. They get you in and they get you liking it, and then they can charge you more, but to be honest, most of them are pretty fair, and in fact, I like to see a very prolific and strong app store. So if there's an app in there that I use a lot, I don't mind paying for that, because I want to support the developer to continue to make improvements on it. There are two kinds of AirPods. Yeah, there's three kinds actually. Well, three different models of AirPods. So the wired ones are EarPods. The wireless ones are AirPods. The original AirPods fit in, they have a long stem coming down, and you had to charge them in the case with a lightning connector. Then the second version of that, the case itself became being able to be wireless charged, and now AirPods Pro are the newest ones. The case can be charged with the wireless or wired, but they're a little bit shorter and they're awesome. And they can listen to the word hey and the word Siri and activate accordingly. I've seen recently some lower prices on them, and there is rumor of a second version of it coming out soon. Karen, there was a question from Mary. Park Mobile asks for the zone. How do you find that? Are you still around?
Yes, I just answered her privately. On the meters, it's a green sticker on the back side of the meter that you can see from the driver's seat when you park. So before you get out of the car, you can read the zone number, put it in your app, and do everything. For garages, it's usually a green sign at the entrance to the garage. And it's usually a 4-digit number. The garage here where I live, it's 8501. And once you have used the same spot a couple of times, it actually shows up on the map, assuming that's where you're going back. And I can just tap on it and it pre-fills.
Oh, so it's kind of like a favorites.
Yeah.
Great. Al mentions
So-
that for garbage pickup, use SAC Green Team app. Let me pull that up. Al, I assume that gives you pickup times and all that. Can you also
Yep.
request extra pickups and stuff like that through that?
Yeah. It each week it toggles between recycling and green waste, and you can set it up so it'll send you a notification the night before, and you just type in your little location. It gives you all the information. There's also, I think you can also you can schedule the once a year you're allowed to have a little bit larger bunch of debris outside. You can schedule that event, and doesn't it's not real complicated, but it just makes my life a little easier to remember.
That's great.
Yeah.
That brings up utilities. I'm sure SMUD has something. I'm sure we have a few people on PG&E. Those of you on SMUD, those of us on PG&E are very jealous of you in Roseville Electric and on SMUD. But this is a neat app that because I have solar, I try to give PG&E as little money as possible. But this app is a wonderful app. It's a very small developer. It's called PG&E Toolkit. Actually, I'll pull it up in the App Store so you can see the logo. And that's the logo with the little $sign. So what I can do is I can take, and there's many different tiers, and of course they're going to time of use for everyone. But if I put 1 month, and I'll put in my May, so I generate a report. So you'll notice I have brackets on mine, which means I've overproduced my electricity, so I don't have to pay anything on that. But what it does here is it shows you what you would pay for different rate categories. And what I've done is give them access to my PG&E account, and it goes in, and for that entire month, it says, oh boy, on this rate plan, I'm this. In fact, I'm on what's called EVA, which is at $400. I was $406 in the red because I'm not driving much right now, so I'm not charging my electric car, and my solar is producing a tremendous amount of energy without much usage because May was pretty quiet as far as temperature, but still bright sun. Well, they're changing it to EVA2. I still grandfather in for a bit. It's going to reduce it, so I only have a $208 credit. And it shows all the usage and all the tiers, and then if you decide to have a power wall and what that would work out. So if you're a PG&E customer and you're not sure what rate plan you should be on, it's called PG&E Toolkit. I think it's around $6-7. Oh my gosh, it's wonderful. If I go here, like for 2019, for instance, here is, so I was still in the positive on mine. So, and the best part is I generate more electricity than I use. You see at the top, I generated back 3,911 kilowatt hours. I produced more than I took. So even though driving an electric car. So that's a wonderful one. I don't know. SMUD probably has something in their app that's going to be close. But in SMUD, your rates are so good, you don't have to worry about time of use too much.
Yeah,
Let's see.
That was for PG&E electricity. Do they have one for gas?
No, because there's no different rates for gas.
Okay. Right.
And that's the other thing. So I still do pay a bill to PG&E. In fact, I'm probably taking and turning my water heater into electric. So because since I overproduce on my solar, no, I don't think so because I don't think you have any choices. Electricity is based on time of use. You pay a different amount at different times. PG&E or gas, you simply pay for, what is it, therms or tons or whatever it is for the natural gas. So, and this only does, those of us, you're on SMUD, I think, right?
For electricity.
So you have, I'm sorry?
For electricity, yes.
Yeah. So those of us that are on PG&E for electric, we have on our bill, it's broken out. There's electric and gas. Where you guys, your electric is SMUD and then your gas is that way.
Yeah.
So, and then of course, if you have solar, There's great apps for telling you what you're producing and things like that. And there's even apps that'll calculate what your effect would be to put solar on your roof. So
Yeah.
I think in accessibility, which items should you activate? Roy, that's a tough one, and there's so many different ones. There's some that, like the screen read and thing. It really all depends. Accessibility is for people that have some sort of challenge with what's going on, and it all depends on what you need it for. And then the offshoot of that is now people that have motor skill problems like Parkinson's and things like that. There's the new voice controls that are built into all iOS 13 devices that can do amazing things. Your voice can do tons of great stuff. And in fact, as much as I harp on how bad Catalina is, people that have motor issues and want to control their entire computer with voice, that is one reason, and probably the only reason, to go to Catalina. So let's go ahead. And anybody else? I can go on and on and on about my apps. Oh, let's talk about apps a second. So everybody knows you can force quit your apps, but you shouldn't. And I'll tell you why in a second. The only time you want to force quit apps is if an app is misbehaving. For instance, Kimberly had problems with the accessibility one where she wasn't able to see the screen and it was hooked up. So if worse comes to worse and you have to force quit an app, you can simply swipe up and away. Now, your GPS apps are designed to run in the background. So many times you could quit your GPS app, but most of the time when you hit done or end on the GPS, it'll do it. And your music apps are designed to run in the background also. They're not the preeminent first app. But the thing is that I never quit my apps unless it misbehaves, because there's no need to. I have all these apps. There's no need to force quit an app. Everybody used to think that it was better for your battery life. That's wrong. The only apps I say you should force quit are Facebook and Messenger. And there's some tracking reasons for that. But secondly, there's such garbage code that they made them with, they will drain your battery. So when you're done with those, you force quit them. Just like if you use Chrome on your Mac, you should quit Chrome because it's a bit of a memory leak. But the rest of the time when you force quit an app, it really doesn't save any battery life. In fact, it uses more battery. And the way I like to describe it is, let's say you have a stack of papers. Well, the paper underneath doesn't, your brain is not spending any energy on a paper that's covered by another paper. It's just sitting there. You can't write on it. You can't read it because it's underneath the top piece of paper. Your brain is only looking at the top piece of paper. So what happens is, then if I switch apps, now the other piece of paper is on the top, and now my brain's working on that one. It's no longer spending any time on the one underneath. And in fact, what happens on your phone is the apps underneath the top app, other than GPS and other than music, are in suspended animation. They're using no energy at all. In fact, you can test that. Like I don't tell my mail to come in all the time. I say my email only comes in when I look at the app. I can sit there if I haven't looked at my mail app and I go and swipe up like this. In fact, let's see. This might be a good example. Where's my mail app? So there's my mail. So, oh shoot. Well, I wish I was on my inbox. I'll do this. I'll go back to my inbox. So see, 11/24 was the last email that came in because it was in suspended animation. So now we'll see what happens when I check my mail, because I know I've gotten stuff since then. We'll see. It's checking. Yep, 34 messages came in since then, but because my mail was in suspended animation, it wasn't seen. So that proves that it's just behind the scenes not doing anything. So you should not force quit an app unless an app misbehaves, unless it's Facebook or Messenger, not messages, but Messenger on Facebook. Or you can force quit a GPS app if you want. For instance, like Waze, which will tell you when there's traffic collisions ahead, bad traffic, obstacles in the road, you can let Waze run in the background because it'll alert you to those things. And music apps are designed to run in the background. So don't force quit unless you have to. Okay. open it up, microphones, anybody. Let's hear some people's favorite apps and just a quick little one-line sentence on what it does, because you guys, we've got 34 people out there and everybody has some favorite apps.
Ken, before you leave that, apps, when you say don't force quit, would you say how to force quit? Facebook Messenger?
Yeah, you simply, so if you have a Touch ID phone where you have a home button.
I don't.
Huh?
I have a 10.
Yeah, but we have a lot of people that don't, so I'm going to describe both ways.
Okay.
So on the Touch ID, and help me out, I haven't touched Touch ID for a while. I think you double tap the home button. That doesn't do it because that brings up Apple Pay, doesn't it?
No, that's right.
Do you swipe up from the bottom? Who's got a Touch ID phone that knows that's so bad? It's been 3 years since I used Touch ID. How do people get to their carousel on a Touch ID phone? I thought do you just swipe up from the bottom on the bezel? Hello, anybody?
Yes, double clicking works.
I'm sorry?
Double clicking the button worked for me.
Okay, that's right. Because on the Face ID, it's double tapping it oh, that's the watch. Anyway, okay. So yeah, double tap the home button, and then it comes up and you get a carousel like this. And you can go through the carousels. And then if I want to quit Zillow, for instance, I just put my finger kind of near the middle. I don't touch it. I swipe at it, and it swipes up and away and swipes up and away. You're giving it a glancing blow across the middle. So again, you double tap to bring it up. Those of you with Face ID, what you do is when your phone's on, you see this little bar at the bottom, and you just pull up a little bit. Actually, I got to unlock it first. So let me get into an app. So now I pull up about an inch, and then all of a sudden I let go, and I have these. And I can go here and I can force quit each one by swiping up and away. A glancing blow on your screen. So again, double tap the home button on the Touch ID, and on a Face ID phone, you go down here and you just barely at the very bottom, right on the screen, swipe up a little bit, but you're holding your finger on it, and then you get up about there and let go, and now you get this carousel. It's a little bit weird touch to get used to. It was hard in the beginning, but that's how you do it.
Hey, Ken, does the carousel continue to fill up, or does it?
Oh, yeah, the carousel will go for as many as you have. And I used to have a ton going, but I was having problems with the battery life on my watch, so I was trying to see if it affected it. So I closed them, but you know, there's times I'll have 100 through the carousel.
Okay.
And it doesn't matter. It doesn't create more usage on your phone because that thing behind it is not active.
Hey, Ken.
Go ahead.
On the health app, is that just keyed into a watch, or will that work on a phone as well?
Well, yeah, so it gets data from the watch, like the heart rate and things like that. But no, it'll work on a phone autonomously. So for instance, if I'm doing my exercises, if I'm doing the fitness app, all of that stuff aggregates into here. If you're keeping track of your weight, if you're keeping track of your steps, all that stuff is autonomously arrived from the phone. There's even an app called Pedometer that turns your phone into a pedometer, and you don't have to have an Apple Watch for it. There was another question?
Hey, Ken?
Yeah?
Yes, I like to go to garage sales, so I use yard sales.
Okay, cool. Let's pull that up to look at it. And does that seem to be the one that most people are using?
The people I know.
So now you're going to have competition at these yard sales.
That's okay.
I'm just kidding.
And it's free. And it
Is this the one right here? Yard sales treasure?
Yes.
Okay, the one that has the like curvy little route. That looks pretty cool,
Yes.
actually. Oh, look at
Yeah.
that. There's even a map showing you where they are. So we're in the app now here, and I want to see what it looks like. So I go here, and you'll notice I can go through and see the different screens. I haven't purchased the app or anything. This is still in the App Store. And then you'll notice it says it offers an iPad app, and that's right below. And then you can tip more, and it gives you more information about it, how to search, etc. And then you'll see here it says that's the developer. If you tap developer, oh, that's other apps by that developer. And that's always something to look at. If you have an app you like, go see what other ones they make. And then here's the reviews. And actually, this one has a lot of 5-star reviews. In fact, look at that. There's 25,000 reviews, and look how many of them are 5-star. Some places you might suspect this many 5 stars, but this is probably really crowdsourced. But I always say, if you really want to read what the app is like, throw out the 5 stars, throw out the 1 stars, and read the responses in between. But then you look here, here's the different response from that. And then what's new, that's the version history as they update the apps. You know, they fixed a little problem about wrong sale to be open when tapped, etc. There's the sale, the category shopping. It says it works on this iPhone. It also works on an iPad, iPod Touch. You only need 10.3 or newer. Age rating, probably, yeah, it's a little say there. Oh, and there are in-app purchases. So you can do a subscription. Oh, and if you want to promote a garage sale, it's 99 cents. And then family sharing. So if you have multiple users in a household, it supports family sharing. So in your App Store account, you can share your apps with other people. Most apps support that, but not all of them. And then the nice thing is at the bottom here, it says you might like, and it shows you other apps that do the same thing. But we have endorsement here who thought this looked pretty good, and the reviews look pretty great. That's wonderful. Yard sale. I'm going to write that down. All right, hammer away. Let's have some others. These are great ones.
One of my favorites is Mac Tracker. If you ever have need to do any kind of support for any old or obscure Apple-related product, it gives you, I mean, literally every piece of information related to that. You know, when it was created, when it was discontinued, serial number information, model specs, and it literally
I'll
goes.
pull it up. I'm going to have it up in a sec, Al. You can walk us through it here. But yeah, this is wonderful, and I've used it. I mean, you want to know, whether the RAM is upgradable or anything like that.
Exactly.
So you go through here. Let's say Mac Mini, and then what year? Let's look at a newer one. Here's a mid 2012. We tap on that. Here's the identifier. Its status is vintage, how much the initial price was. Storage options. That's a lot of work putting all that stuff together, and it's great.
It also has OS stuff as well.
Yeah, I think that's farther down, right?
Yeah.
What app is that?
It's called Mac Tracker.
I'll show it to you in the App Store here again. Mac
And
Tracker.
it's free.
Looks like a classic map right there. Yeah, totally free. Where was OS? There you go. Maximum OS, latest release, which means it will work on Catalina as much as Catalina likes to maybe work. Okay, good one. Thanks, Al. Al has a lot of these gems. And the other thing is our Facebook group, you can always post things there, and you can share the app and it shows up. They don't have to be great. If you like it, let us know. We'll determine whether it's great, and it probably will. It's all about sharing what you know. Anybody else?
I like the Find My app.
Oh, the built-in Find My app used to be called Find My iPhone. So I'll pull that up.
What's built in?
The Find My app?
Yes.
Well, it's an Apple app that comes with it. So here it is. So it shows you, and that's funny. It says my iPhone 11 is with me, which is pretty cool. But it shows all my other, wow. Why do my AirPods, I think my AirPods are in my pocket or in my closet. So the last time they checked in was over at the golf course. See, my AirPods are showing up there. But I go in here and I keep zooming in to where I am. I guess I'm in my backyard. And then all my devices are listed here. So, yeah, I should delete some of these I don't have anymore. But like my iPad mini is right here. I tap on my iPad mini. And if I'm not sure if I left it in my car or whatever, even though my volume is on mute on my iPad, let's listen. Oh, I have a headphone jack plugged in. Hang on. I have to play it again. It's because we're on Zoom with it. It messes with the audio. Hang on. So it won't do that, but it would bing. By the way, on your Apple Watch, just so you know, we'll go and put this up again. So on your Apple Watch, if you're on your main screen and you swipe up, oh, let me get a little bit away here. You swipe up from the bottom, you'll see there's a little icon of the phone to the left of the flashlight. And if you tap that, it bangs my phone. So it tells me where my phone is. So they swipe up, and again, it's the one that looks like a phone. All right, good ones. Any more? That's it? Other questions? Nobody has any? Oh, here we go. Spyglass 4 Plus, GPS, compass, let's look at that. Yeah, you know, the other thing is I use Siri a lot. I want to know elevation, so I can just say to Siri, what's my elevation?
Looks like you're at 233 feet.
So stuff like that works really well. Spyglass Plus. Al, is it that one right there?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Spyglass.
Yeah, Spyglass 4 Plus. It just says Spyglass. So, I have it. Here we go.
Yeah.
You've probably recommended it before.
Yeah,
I say okay while using app.
Different kind of heads up display. You know, there's a whole bunch of.
Oh yeah, so it. Yeah. Oh, that's perfect for like if you've got a compass. If you're using a topographic survey map, which by the way, those of you that are hikers, you know, we used to get topographic survey maps. You used to go to a store and get the quadrants. Well, you've got topographic survey maps. Wow, that's a cool heads up. I like that, Al.
It is nice.
You get topographic survey maps right on the phone. Let's see if I have mine. Topo.
What was that app you just showed?
It's called Spyglass. Here, I'll show you in the App Store what it looks like. It's the green one here in the Spyglass. Okay. One word, Spyglass. And somebody wants to know where is the MacNexus Facebook app. Well, there's Facebook. There's no MacNexus app, but it's a group in Facebook called MacNexus. So just search MacNexus. And Bob, don't they have to get permission to join? I think you do. And Al mentioned Spyglass there. Guys, there's just so many.
Yeah. There's another really good one called
Pro. Here's a neat one. There was one where you turn my thing I was going to make a ton of money on, and then finally somebody came out with it is you have your phone mounted in your car and it becomes a dash cam. So that one's pretty cool. Go ahead, Al.
No, I was going to say if there's another one called Pro Compass that gives you the more kind of classical compass looking device and gives you this, you know, a different kind of heads up display. Not bad. Let me see if I can get the link here for.
I'll pull it up in the App Store again. What's it called? Compass?
Pro Compass.
Pro Compass, one word?
Yeah.
Is that it with the?
Yeah, that one right there.
Okay. Oh yeah. Oh, and it's a level.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you got it all built in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, 234 feet above sea level. Cool.
Yeah. These days, that you know, just depends on what kind of interface that you prefer. I mean, there's something for everybody.
Yeah.
Hey, Ken, what was the dash cam you had?
You know, I'm trying to think. The dash cam I have actually ties into my real dash cam on my car. But let me see. I used to have one called dash cam, but I got a real dash cam, so I stopped doing it. Let me go into the App Store. Oh, why don't I spell dash right?
Yeah.
Smart dash cam, that might be one. To be honest, you can get these dash cams really cheap these days, and I highly recommend it because there's a lot of weird stuff going on. Luckily, my car now records all my my stuff on a thumb drive. But yeah, so like this one, this Drive HD by Cobra, you buy this little camera and then it plays it back for you.
Okay.
So, but dash cams, there's so many scams out there when people drive, it's a big deal. Obviously the stock apps, that's always good. You can add anything you want into the portfolio. Apple, I should point out, is at an all-time high. It closed yesterday at 331.75. I'm sorry, it closed at 331.50, but it hit 331.75, all-time high.
Hey, Ken, did you cover Peak Finder?
I did Peak Scanner instead of Peak Finder.
Okay.
Let's look at Peak Finder. I have Peak Visor, so this is an interesting one too. Oh, come on.
Yeah, that's nice.
Let's look at Peak Finder. Peak Finder AR?
Yeah.
Yeah, augmented reality. The beauty of that is, oh yeah, this one's good because it gives you
the name
a
of
virtual
everything.
reality version of it. So you can see in the video that's playing there.
Yeah.
And then it overlays it with your camera.
Pretty amazing how they can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it gives you the names. And then when you zoom in, it shows you what the altitude is and things like that. But you know what this is? So just real quick, what augmented reality is it's using the compass, it's using the GPS, and it knows your location. And so you're looking through the camera, but it's overlaying that information from a map. So the nice thing is that you're looking through this and seeing what it is. Actually, one of the best sun ones. So let's do Sun Surveyor.
That's a nice one.
Sun Surveyor. We use this on the eclipse trip. So you see this blue line, and I'm using this. That's where the moon track will be. But let's look at the current sun track. So here is the sun is, where is it? Way over. Oh, I'm too twisted around now.
Wow.
So if I was outside, I could there's the sun right now. And then it shows the path where the sun rose. So it's going up over the top. And now I'm pointing it towards the west, towards my backyard. And I could say, oh, the sun's going to set at that location. So I could have this out my window and then looking at where it's going to set. So it's using augmented reality. It knows the track of the sun. It knows your location. And it's using the camera. When we did the eclipse tour, we did that before. So we knew exactly where the sun was going to be when the eclipse hit in relation to the mountains. So we had no trees blocking us and things like that.
I was trying to find the coordinates, the geologic coordinates for Bellingham, Washington. How do I do that?
Well, I think Bellingham, Washington. So if I'm not mistaken, I thought Google Maps will give it to me, but I'm not sure anymore.
2 hours.
Oh, you know what? If I hit share, let's put it in mail. I think this will give it to you. Oh, no, It used to. Message. No. Wow. Let's try this. Show me the longitude and latitude for Bellingham, Washington.
Here's what I found.
So that's let's see.
No coordinates.
Yeah, there's got to be one. Let's do, there's got to be an app. So let's look on here for search GPS, because I can do it live, but I'm not sure about another location. Actually, I think the TPE will do it. GPS coordinates finder. Let's try that. Coordinates, longitude on. Yeah, so if we just find GPS coordinates early, easy. So that one's free. Let's just hit get. Double tap the side button. It was free, so I quote purchased it. Tap that, open. And let's hit location.
Well, there it is.
Search. Yeah, but that's where I am, so I guess I'd have to zoom the map, but I should be able to menu. Come on, menu.
Maybe location would give you another option.
Close settings, pro version. No, when I tap location, it just pulls it to where I am. So you could do zoom. Just for grins, let's just do San Jose since I don't want to scroll all the way up to it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't like this one. That's not. Oh, here's a search. Hang on. Bellingham. There we go. Little magnifying glass. Bellingham, Washington. Oh, I forgot the G. Is it one L? Oh, there it is, Whitcomb, Washington. So there it is. So I'll show you what that one is. It's just called GPS Coordinates Finder, and it's free.
Thank you.
Yep. Surprised Siri didn't get it for us. All right. Any other good ones? Any other questions? Let's see. I think we're I think that pretty much we're at noon, so we can wrap it up. The recording will get posted soon. Those of you, the chat has a lot of information. So before you leave, I'm going to show you how to save the links that are over in the chat. If you open up your chat window, those of you on a Mac, you want to hit the chat window at the bottom. If you're on an iPad or an iPhone, you tap the screen and go to, hang on. You go to more and say chat. You click on chat. And then, I'm not sure how you save it on an iPad though. I don't see how to save it. Save chat. What's that?
Does it say that?
Yep, right there. Yeah, so anyway, on the Mac, sorry, it doesn't look like you can do it on iOS. You could Google that. So and I can't display it on my screen, but if you have the chat window out, in the very bottom, you can click the thing called File, or in the lower right, there's a thing called Save Chat. Now, it looks like Joanne Sherrill just posted it. So those of you who are on an iPad, you might be able to click on the chat window and download that. That's actually a great way to do it, I think. Let's see, hit the chat window, more, chat. Oh, for some reason hers didn't show up yet. That's interesting. And you click to download. So if you see that in your chat window, but otherwise I will save it. If you need the chat window, go ahead and email me. So I'll save it right now. Save chat, ask where I want to save it, and it's saved. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Board, we're meeting at 1 o'clock, so same time, same link. And we'll go from there. I'm gonna turn my screen share off so I can see everybody and say bye to everybody.
Bless you.
Been good.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else? I'll stay around for a few minutes if you have any other particular questions or things that didn't work. So again, and I'm gonna stop the recording now so I don't forget. And we will. I'll go ahead